Hospital Porter's pride and dignity stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, the 70th comments reply video. Yes, there's a reply to comments 70. 70 of them, blimey, we're getting old, aren't we? Comments reply videos. Oh, yeah. This is a video where, as the title suggests, I reply to your comments. And the reason I do these is I don't have time to reply by text. Because I get so many comments being a popular channel, you know what I mean? But I do feel obliged to reply, to put some kind of response, seeing as you guys make the effort and put in the time to provide me with comments on your feedback on the videos. And some of your comments are very long, they're very detailed, they're full of very interesting thoughts. So I feel obliged to reply to you. Now, you may think to yourself, that's not very good, Ben, because I want a reply to your comment. I don't want to watch a 9-hour video while you reply to my comments. I only want to reply to one comment, for goodness sake. Well, guess what? You don't have to watch a 9-hour video to get a reply to one comment. And that's for two reasons. First of all, underneath every comment I reply to, I leave a timestamp telling you when within the upcoming comments reply video I'm going to reply to your video. So I say, for example, I'll be replying to your comments within the first hour, second hour, third hour, etc. of the upcoming comments reply video. So the longest you're going to, it says, thanks for your comment, it'll be answered approximately within whatever hour of the upcoming comments reply video. So the longest you're going to have to watch is 1 hour. It's not so bad, is it? And also, you know, my videos, my comments reply videos are not 9 hours long anymore. They're actually much shorter than that because I do them more often. So they're not 9 hours long. And another reason I do these reply to comments videos is I enjoy doing them. They're fun. It's become kind of a real good series for me. It's become characteristic of my style. And what's more, you guys, the viewers, a lot of you enjoy them too. I know many of you watch them all the way through, which is cool, which is really, really good. Now, this comments reply video is going to be a bit different for several reasons. Firstly, it's not that long since I did the last one. I mean, the last comments reply video I did actually was not long ago. It was on the 16th of January, which when I uploaded reply to comment 69. So that's not a very long time. The reason I'm doing that is because I've just had a look at my schedule. I've actually got quite a busy week ahead of me. If I don't do it either today or tomorrow, this comments reply video. Let's see. Sunday I'm on a video with Ren Michaelis. Monday I'm doing. On Sunday I'm also doing. After I've done that, I'm going to be doing the Gas Banner show. Monday I'm doing Third Row Radio. Tuesday I'm on Raconta's News. Thursday I'm actually going to London for 2 days. I'm going to go and visit someone. He's actually someone who watches this video. I won't name him, but he's a regular viewer, and I'm going to meet up with him. You can, if you want to tell people who you are, go ahead. Thursday I'm going to Anthony Peake's book launch. He's got a new book called Cheating the Ferryman. I'm going to his official book launch. Yeah. I will be taking my camera, so there'll be video there. I'll also be doing my Mirror of Ren Michaelis. Friday, I'm recording Glenn Vaudry for my show. Then I've got one day off. Then Saturday, I'm on the Paranormal Peep show. The 13th, that's Monday week. I'm recording an interview with Soma Ara. So I'm literally my seasonally adjusted media trend is upwards, old boy. So if I don't do a comments reply video either today or tomorrow, I won't be able to do one until at least the middle of the week after next. So I'm doing one now. So because it was only the 16th of January I did the last one, this will probably be shorter than most. So there you are. And so I'll take my time with it. Actually, I'll just be a bit more leisurely, so it might not be that much shorter. Another difference I'm using StreamYard. I'm using the recording function on StreamYard, and it seems to be working all right. I've done a test recording. I've checked my settings. I am using the right microphone. I'm not using any fancy background today because I don't want to completely break with my past and abolish all of my traditions. So I'm keeping the traditional background, which is just my room here, my little room here in Oxford. But obviously this is an experiment, so to speak, really. I just thought that I did say actually on the last live stream that StreamYard, if it's good enough, and if it has advantages over OBS, and it does have many advantages over OBS, I will use it instead of OBS, which is quite something. For example, I can do this share screen thing is bloody brilliant. Doing this, Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, I mean, I know not many of you. What's this? StreamYard sharing your screen. That's cool. I can just advertise my new HPANWO voice article. Would the real RC Christian please stand up? There's the URL. Oops. Oh, there it is. Would the real RC Christian please stand up? It's my new article on HPANWO voice. Do check that out. I know not many of you watch it, HPANWO voice, but you do. So that one's all right. I was going to, one thing I meant to be doing, it's good actually, you know, what I like about this is I can do this presentation, but you can still see me on the little screen at the side. I can sort of do this like alien scientist. I can go like that. I'm not as miserable as he is. I'm much more cheerful than he is. But anyway, yeah, I was going to do this. I was going to do this sort of example of, I told you that I was having some issues over, the search function on, there's a problem. No, I'll just come off share screen for the time being. Like, there's something really badly wrong with YouTube searches. I gave you an example on our previous video. I think it might have been I can't remember which one it was, but I gave you an example on a previous video. I told you about when I was trying to find Michael Schratt and what happened. So I'll just do that quickly now. I'm searching for Michael Schratt. There we go. Michael Schratt. It's on this list here, right? Okay, I've got here, like, he does have well, there's a channel there. First video, this is Skunk Works by Nicholas Means. That's the first. That's interesting, but it's not what I asked for. And then John Lear on KNTV 13 Las Vegas. Going down here, NASA test flight, source for the Mars mission, UFO specialist, Glenn Dennis. Just what I mean. It's not what I was asking for. And then there's that Greer's trailer there. You see what I mean? These things are only vaguely, the results I get are only vaguely connected to Michael Schratt. I mean, there's a channel page, but it doesn't look very. There's nothing actually. There's nothing really on there. So that's an example of what's wrong with YouTube's search system. I think the search system on YouTube is completely buggered, to put it technically. All right, guys, I'm just going to go to, right, I'm going to start get on with the comments, Ben. Get on with the comments. All right, then. I've still got a bit of a sore throat, so you might hear me coughing a little bit, and my voice still sounds a bit husky. It's done wonders for my. It's done wonders for me in some ways, though. I mean, you should see them. You should see the fan mail I've been getting. You know, I've had a few knickers sent to me. All right, guys. So we have replied to comment 69. The lights were low. First, well done, lights. Nice one. Gary Robinson says underneath, congrats, mate. You win this month's tinfoil hat prize. Wear it with pride and dignity. And Light says to Gary, many thanks, Gary. Just made a remark. Hope I don't regret. Dark Quarter says, congratulations, sir. Yeah. Gary Robinson says on reply to comment 69. Gary Robinson, hi Ben. Sorry, I've not contributed much this month. Been mad busy. I've been watching though. Cheers. No worries, Gary. I really appreciate you watching. You know, you've been busy as anything. And I got, you know, I do all these videos. Not everyone can watch every single one. I know that. And then we have Israel Diego Rivera, genius to the real genius, who says on reply to comment 69. Carl Sagan, in his program Cosmos, admits there are 10 planets in our solar system when he works out the Drake equation. At that time, Pluto was still a planet. Right, yeah. Now, there's always been... There are 8 major planets now, and so many minor planets, they're impossible to count. There's if you include a minor planet as any orbiting object, then there's so many you can never count them. But of course, Pluto is one of the, it's what's known as part of the Kuiper Belt. There's also the scattered disk. I mean, they haven't found them all. But there's comets and things like that, asteroids. But Pluto was the only Kuiper Belt object known. It was originally considered to be a 9th major planet. it's been downgraded. There's always a rumor to be a planet X. That is, astronomers have been examining anomalies in the orbits of Neptune. That is the biggest outer planet, the biggest major planet, the furthest away outer planet, major planet, and they've worked out that something was affecting its gravity, and it has to be another object, and they've been desperately trying to find it. Yeah, and that's true. And I don't know what it's got to do with the Drake equation. Oh, right. I don't know how the Drake equation, though, has anything to do with that, because the Drake equation is a speculative thought experiment for how much life is in the universe out there in the space. Okay, Gary Robinson on Applied Comment 69. Hey Ben, I think it was the Lights Were Low who mentioned that someone had done an audio radio analysis of Paul McCartney's voice in order to compare what is supposedly the real Paul's voice against Paul's voice. As a music producer, I'd love to know exactly what they used to do this. Even with today's technology, which allows you to look at the audio in various formats, it would still be hard to come to any conclusion with absolute certainty. If I were to send you screenshots of different waveforms and frequency analyzers showing different people's voices, you'd be hard pushed to tell me if I'd sent you 3 recordings of myself or 3 recordings of completely different people. Very badly written comment, as I'm battered after a long day. Not to worry, Gary. So hopefully you will see what I mean. In other words, I don't believe audio analysis, even with the best hardware or software, can provide any conclusive evidence either way. Cheers. Thanks, Gary. Well, you know what? Someone sent me a video. It was a friend of mine on Facebook. I'm not screen sharing, am I? I've got to check that. Who was who sent me this video? It was a while ago. I won't be able to find it. It's okay. I'll try and come up with it. But someone sent me a video. Yes, Sage of Key. Here we go. I'll show it to you. I won't only show it all of you, but I'll just only show all of it. I'll just show you it.
It's the glass and a half that makes the taste and a half.
I've been watching this. When the ad's clear, Sage of Key, Mike Williams, did the Beatles write their own music? It's a long one. It's 4 hours, 34 minutes, but someone sent me this. I've watched about half an hour of this. You can pause and read the description box there. But we were talking about this, weren't we? We were talking about this on a previous show. We were talking about this on a previous program about how all the big artists employ musical ghost composers. It's interesting, isn't it? John Nolan says it's been said Crowley's son is Billy Shears. John, let's have a look. Aleister Crowley, it could well be Aleister Crowley actually died the year after Paul was supposedly born. I think Paul was supposedly born in 1946, wasn't he? Crowley died 47. Let's have a look. We're talking about Paul McCartney now. Paul McCartney born 18th of June. 18th of June 1942. Right. He's 80 years old apparently. Of course, he died unfortunately in 1966. But Paul would have been. No one knows how old Paul is. I mean, Paul would be a similar age, though, wouldn't he? Now, Crowley died in 47. I mean, Crowley. The thing about Aleister Crowley. Oh, you said Cowley. Do you mean Crowley? Oh, Aleister Crowley. Yeah. John Nolan, I think, means he's written Cowley, but I think he means Crowley. I don't know if there's any family. I think facial resemblance is probably the only clue that we could get from this, because we don't know how old Paul is. We do know that Crowley died in 47. It's quite likely Paul was born before then, because Paul is likely to be the same age as Paul was supposed to be. So Paul is probably right now in his early 80s, I'd say, which would mean he could be Crowley's son. Don't know if there's any resemblance. The thing about Aleister Crowley was obsessively promiscuous. And he never used he never attempted any form of contraception, which means he probably has a large number of illegitimate children. He probably did conceive quite a large number of children on top of the ones he had with his wives. I know he had a child who died in infancy. I don't know how many other children he had. Let's just have a look. Aleister Crowley. children. No, he had some children. Let's have a look. Alistair Crowley children. Lola Zara Crowley, Randall Gare Crowley, and Nuit Ma'athor Secretary Hafo Jr. Here we go. This is Nuit Ma, Anathor, Hecate, Sappho, Jezebel. Was it Lilith Jr.? Lilith Crowley, yes. So you can actually see some of his children here and put images up. There's Randall Gare Crowley. I should show you, shouldn't I? Where are they? Here we go. Where were they? Here we go. That's Randall Gare Crowley. That's Lola Zara Crowley. Lola Zaza Crowley. Lola Zazi Crowley. That must be her there. You can see she followed in her father's footsteps. And who's the other one? Nuit Ma. I thought, blimey. I'm not going to repeat that word, but yeah, that's her. Looks like the same person. Oh well. But there's no doubt. I mean, I would be very surprised if he had a large number of children on top of that, which he doesn't know about, no one told about. Anyway, here we go. Light says, hi Gary, it wasn't me, but someone did mention it in one of our previous links. Yeah, someone talks about having Fall's voice analysed. Gary says to Lights, cool, was having a few beers last night while listening and couldn't remember who the comment was from. BZ Garson said, voice analysis is admissible in courts in some states in the US. Well, that's pretty amazing, BZ, because I know that, for instance, polygraphs are not. We've had this fuss with Travis Walton and Bob Lazar. Yeah, I mean, maybe so, but I don't know what the legal status is exactly of voice analysis. Reply to comment 69, David Splendid Isolation says, yeah, Ben, but there aren't millions and millions of people walking across the lawn anyway. Oh, right. This is about the ad blocking thing, right. But there aren't millions and millions of people walking across the lawn anyway. Well, there would be. Okay, I'll let you finish. Sorry, David, I'll let you finish. It's already happened in the case of ad blocker. So, as I say, your holdout really wouldn't make any measurable difference over. Technically, that's probably true. However, as I said, the whole point of role utilitarianism is you think to yourself, okay, but well, what if everyone, I'm the only one who's walking across the lawn, so it doesn't matter. But then, of course, everyone who comes along says that, so millions of people walk across the lawn. What if everyone who came along said what I did? Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't walk across that lawn because of role utilitarianism. In that case, David, it would make a difference. Like I said, I don't object to advertising. It's what I object to is this new advertising, this new business model that YouTube has, where there's bloody more adverts than videos. That's what I object to. It didn't matter in the old days, because in the old days, you had everything was fine in the old days because you had there was only a few ads, and they all had skip buttons, 5-second skip buttons. They were usually just at the beginning mostly. Now you have like 1 minute ads without skip buttons. You sometimes have two of them in a row. This. I was watching this thing. I just showed you the thing about the Georgia Guidestones. That video on YouTube has ads every 10 minutes, and it's like ridiculous. I mean, it's an hour and a half documentary. I just downloaded it and watched it. I watched it downloaded, not because I wanted it to keep it particularly. I was fed up with all the bloody ads. There was another one about the wow signal, same thing. So it does make a difference, I think. And so I'm not going to use an ad blocker. I'm just going to moan about it. And I'm going to moan, not because there are ads, but because, to be honest, maybe you're right, because this is a ridiculous. What effect does it have on YouTube's business model anyway? Do I want to support YouTube anyway? How much support have they shown me? How much support has YouTube shown? How much support has they showed? Do I approve of their operational ethics? No, I don't. So maybe you're right, David. Maybe you was right. Maybe Jam Noise is right and things like that. Right, here we go. The lights were low. Here we go. This is lights were low. Says on reply to comment 69. This is always we got a timestamp here. All right. All right. Okay. This is about Charles and things. Okay. Hi, Ben. Is it me, or is this channel for discussion on tinfoil hat ideas, conspiracy theories, and the like? It contains skeptics like Steve Mumbling, who puts his point across well and always provides interesting and I'm not on a screen share, am I? No, I'm not. Okay. Thought-provoking content in his remarks. Well, he does sometimes, like other times he just goes, steaming pile, absolute rubbish. But, sometimes he is thought-provoking, yeah. And, of course, flat earthers, moon hoax believers, well, that's me, etc., etc. All of this, including Nessie and Bigfoot, get up for debate. Is anyone really interested in Charles Scott, who seems like a very nice guy? Continuing the narrative about a ticket. Answers on a postcard, please. 15 to 20 minutes of every comments reply video is too long. Ben, you are too nice. If this was a discussion on was it a UFO at Rendlesham or a lighthouse, then fair enough. But no one's interested in this ticket, Charles. You're seen as erudite, intelligent, and logical chap. This is going nowhere. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on other subjects, whether from a skeptic point of view or otherwise. Hope this does not cause offence, Charles. Okay. The thing is, I do actually, as you may have noticed, Lights, that I am actually skipping over a lot of Charles's stuff. I'm skipping over a lot of his stuff. So, for example, he's put a comment here. Whenever he repeats himself, I just skip over it. You're perfectly entitled to have no interest whatsoever on this matter. However, I think it's wholly unfair to say no one is interested in contributing narrative about a ticket. On the contrary, I strongly suspect one or more YouTube viewers are interested in this matter. You say Ben's channel is about discussion of etc., etc. That shows an example of when this is not the case. All right, of course, because I address Charles's points. I understand you couldn't care less and perfectly entitled to have that attitude, but I do think it's important to expose the truth that some of Ben's erudition, in the words of Steve Mumbling, is absolute rubbish. It's unfair to say no YouTube viewers interested to learn that Ben gives out misinformation and disinformation on tinfoil hat ideas, conspiracy theories, and things that are not safe and effective. He didn't say that. He just says, and the like. You say you look forward to hearing my thoughts on other subjects. Well, at a later date, I may present evidence, if not proof, that Ben claiming Queen Elizabeth II was a shape-shifting lizard is absolute rubbish. Go ahead, Charles. It'll be like a bloody breath of fresh air if you do, I'll tell you. The Light Swallow says, hi, Charles. Thanks for your response. I hope I didn't cause offence. Indeed, if I did, please accept my apologies. I had to disagree with various cases put forward. I'm particularly stuck on the Paul McCartney issue, which I have no doubt bored all to death with. You're all no doubt bored all to death with. I guess follow as some ideas I find interesting and thought-provoking, others a bit too far-fetched. Thanks for taking the time to reply. Charles Scott says, no offence caused, so no apology needed, but thank you for graciously offering an apology. It seems obvious, but what does the Light Swallow mean? Light says, thanks, Charles. Sorry, shortened versions of the Lights. Yeah, the Lights Swallow. It's part of a Bowie lyric. Oh, right. Charles says, thanks. Space Odyssey was my favourite. Yeah, Space Odyssey. Ground control to Major Tom. It's they play that on the International Space Station a lot because they've even done their own cover version of it. Chris Hadfield, the commander up there. I wouldn't want to play that song actually if I was on the ISS or any space mission, because the song is a ballad about an astronaut who goes up into space and then gets killed in an accident. Not sort of thing. I'd wait till I was down on Earth before I played that particular Bowie track. But thanks for those comments, guys. Tessa111 says, I replied to comment 69. Glad you told us about the next indie. The next what? About next indie. Glad you told us about next indie. Saved us $50 with food tickets for family. God, I missed that thing. Thor as a woman killed it. So Tessa, I don't know what you mean. Snar's Astri. Hey Sonara, how you doing? Hopefully that's a joke comment. Thor is an important European archetype and shouldn't be mocked. That's right. Thor is a Norse god who has equivalents in the world of Anglo-Saxon Germanic people, which includes the English. Tessa says to Sonara, unfortunately, Marvel was considering turning Thor female before the pandems. Oh, God. Wouldn't surprise me. Oh, God. Well, I mean, if they want to ruin their business, let them. If you want to make a film which no one will watch and therefore they go broke, let them. Serve them right. They've got to learn the hard way then, haven't they? Oh, I see. Indie, right. The next indie, right. You're talking about Indiana Jones and the whatever it's called. They've finally decided on a title now, haven't they? What's it called? Hang on. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Right. 2023 adventure film. Okay. Right, they've decided on a title. Gary says, looks like Indy 5 will be a mess as it was made with a filming technique called patchworking, which essentially means it doesn't have a story. Well, what's the point of it then? Is this going to be like a postmodern adaptation of Finnegan's Wake? Apparently, they are currently doing re-edits and reshoots, so that Fleabag Wallet Bridge is mostly removed from the Waller Bridge. Is mostly removed from the movie and is no longer removes Indy from history via time travel. Hopefully this will be another win for the war against woke. I bloody hope so, Gary. I remember we were talking before about how they basically had a wrap on the film and someone said, we can't possibly release this. We've got to go back and completely, well, I don't think they're completely remaking it, but I know they're basically reshooting vast tracts of it to turn it into a totally different film. I think the shareholders have finally put their foot down and says, you are not putting that out there with our money because we're going to get nothing back. We're going to lose it. If you're going to throw our money away, you either remake this film or we get another board. Gary says to Tessa, looks like that may still be happening, and not just for Thor, but with all male superhero characters. Yeah. The visual effects artists are currently forming a union to stand up to bad working conditions and hopefully Marvel's wokeness. I bloody hope so, Gary. I mean, they've got a case to go on strike, basically, because I mean, this is like they're destroying their industry. I mean, they're basically doing to the movie industry what the governments of the 1970s did to the British coal mines. The response from the coal miners in Britain was to go on strike. Let them go on strike. There's been strikes in studios before, haven't there? Reply to comment 69, Lauren Thompson. Cringing as I throw my super long, as I know my super long comment is coming up, lol. Oh, look, go ahead, Lauren, go ahead. I don't mind. And Gary Robinson says on the same video, Ben, mate, this Charles geezer is mentally ill. Okay. Charles says here, unlike Ben's admission, he was a psychiatric patient. I've never been a psychiatric patient. Yes, the recurring theme is Ben spouts his lying, drivel narrative in response to my comments while I repeatedly maintain he's a liar with a suspected mental illness and a noxious side to his character. However, I do not accept I have a mental illness, as perhaps you haven't noticed that new information continues to spring to light. Are we going to have something original, Charles? Such as Ben claiming he could fabricate Chris Evans' screenshot using Windows Paint, yet he has proven to himself he has failed to fabricate it, or that Ben is using disinformation and making me the star of the show in a desperate attempt to discredit me in order to try and weaken the factual proof and factual evidence he's a liar. It is perfectly reasonable to address this ongoing new information, and I don't accept I have only continued the recurring theme that Ben is a liar with suspected mental illness and a noxious side to his character. Through this entire saga, I've stuck to the facts and spoken truth, whereas Ben has deviated from the facts and spoken falsely. If you disagree with me, then you haven't carefully investigated this matter or are being dishonest, or worse still, you're insane. I'm now going to just go through the whole damn thing here and just see how many comments has Charles Scott left along this line this time. So, Charles, how many comments have you left regarding this particular subject? Charles Scott, okay. You astounded me, Ben, on how you've gone on scraping the barrel. It is outright slanderous false claim that I've accused you of deleting a comment, demand in no uncertain terms an apology. I'm not going to apologize, Charles, because you did accuse me of that. I don't cut and paste, copy and paste, and the number. Yes, you do. If you refuse to apologize, just show me evidence by specifically directing. I can categorically state with absolute certainty it is not evidence and proof that you've been deleting comments. Okay, hang on. How many more? Charles Scott, from something onwards, it's an outright lie. There's no doubt whatsoever. I've never directed very least misinformation towards me. I'm just going to put comment. I'm going to put a reply on here. Sorry, Charles, I'm putting tags. This is when I'm replying to your comments. I'm doing them all in one go. Just getting them out of the way. There's no doubt you lying because on the number of occasions, blah, 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 you misinformation towards me with accompanying proof. I think you said you suspected me of deleting a comment of some kind. You said that. Therefore, I expect an apology. I don't think I've done anything to apologise for. I really don't. And Charles Scott. God, this is a long one. This is like bloody hell. Listening to you asking me if I could tell you, I'm telling you, you can't fabricate Chris Evers' Stripe accounts, screenshots, when I've repeatedly told you I'm little doubt this screenshot is true, and therefore I've never said the screenshot couldn't possibly be faked. I never said you can't fabricate Chris Evers' screenshot, as you later claim in your response. I've said you've proven yourself you are unable to fabricate Chris Evers' screenshot using Windows Paint. I'd said that, didn't I? I did say that, Charles. It is open to debate if you can fabricate the screenshot with any other graphic software. Oh, good grief. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is like 15 lines here. Your response is not very clear. The word fabricate can mean to produce or manufacture something. I'm saying I'm in little doubt you deleted Chris Evers' email ticket invoice from your inbox before taking the screenshot. And I'm in little doubt Chris Evers took a screenshot of a Stripe account proving the ticket invoice successfully got to your inbox and you read it. Charles, have you ever had a girlfriend, Charles? Well, let me put it a bit more broadly. Have you ever kissed a woman? I mean, when I say kiss a woman, have you ever kissed, not just kissing your mum on the cheek or a relative, a woman who's a relative, like your sister or your mum on the cheek at Christmas? I mean, kissing a woman who's not related to you on the lips. Have you ever done that, Charles? Because if you ever get a chance to do that, it'll change your life. It'll transform you. You will no longer want to post these long comments. If you ever find yourself in that situation where you have an opportunity to do that, these long comments it'll transform your perspective on the world, and these comments will seem meaningless. So it's just a word of advice, Charles. I suggest you go out there and meet some women. All right, go to the pub, go anywhere, go somewhere where you can meet some women. I mean, join a dating site if you like, but I find they're not very good. You're better off just going to a cafe or a pub and getting to know someone and getting to know some women and talking to some bloody women. For goodness sake, minimize X-Hamster and slam your laptop shut. Make sure you wipe the keyboard first and go out and meet some bloody women. All right, I'm going to go back now. Where was I? Oh God, right. Let's go back to the other comments. Got a couple of threads coming up. Steve mumbling. I replied to comment 69. Your response about Hunchbacked is a perfect example of what I meant. You say he presented some good stuff, but he didn't. It was all utter rubbish. You can't tell me what he was peddling was utter rubbish, so you think it was good stuff. I can, so I know it was utter rubbish. Him being dead doesn't make what he was peddling any less rubbish. Well, Steve, if you can, everything's on his channel. His channel is still there, I believe. Viewers can go and check it out for themselves. Let's see. I hope it's still there. Hunchbacked. Yes, it is. Yep, his stuff's still there. Here's his channel, guys. Let's let you viewers make up their own mind, shall we? No, yeah, he's not uploaded for you. I think that's when he died. It's all on there. I've had a look through it. I've talked to people who know a lot about this sort of thing, and they've said he's a very, very good presenter. I've talked to people on the Apollo Detectives who are knowledgeable in this sort of thing, and they've said a lot of, and they've explained how actually he's a very good researcher. So I'm not going to accept your word for that, Steve. I think this is your opinion. Of course, him dying doesn't change the information he was presenting. Absolutely not. And so it doesn't, but it doesn't mean that it becomes rubbish because you just think it's rubbish. You have to put out an argument for that. Max Q says here, I noticed Ben's claims Hunchback explained things in a non-technical way that people could understand, but Neil Peel said he couldn't understand a lot of it. Well, these are impressions that you and I get. I mean, Hunchback he does go into technical areas, but I think he does make an effort to explain things. He does. So Neil obviously has a different impression. You'll have to talk to Neil about that. Reply to comment 69. Why do you think Jarrah wants to go to Mars when he tells us over and over again that space travel beyond low Earth orbit would be fatal due to Van Allen solar and cosmic radiation? Why is he so determined to commit suicide? Steve, I've been through this. I actually had a debate with Jarrah. I mean, you watch the Apollo Detectives. I debated with Jarrah about this very subject. And I said to him, well, what about the radiation? I mean, wouldn't you need some kind of anti-gravity craft? And he said, no, it can be done with rocketry. I can't remember which Apollo detectives it was. We've done 11 of them now, Steve. And they're all multiple hours long. I don't know, I'm afraid. But Jarrah does want to go into space. He does believe it's possible to travel in space with existing technology. He just questions the Apollo record, that the Apollo record has the ability to do it. That's all he questions. I've already been through this with you. We have Keith Smith under here who says, Ben's best mate Miles is being discussed about grape charge. What's this? There's a link. There's a YouTube link now. So what's this? Truth Seekers. Oh, it's oh, grape. Oh, bloody hell. This is from ages ago. When was this? This was a year ago. This is Terry Joyce. This is Terry Joyce's video here. I've watched this. Here we go. I've watched this, whoever you are. This is Terry Joyce. All right, I'm not going to go through this now. Is Miles Johnson from the Basis Project a rapist with guest Terry Joyce? All right. Oh, no, it's not Terry's channel. It's old Laughing Larry himself. Stephen Cambion, Mr. Backslapper Cackling Cambion. Oh, God, I can't stand this bloke. I can't. This is... Who appointed this babbling beatnik judge, jury, and executioner of the UFO community? Why is this guy so authoritative? He sits there, and I'm not going to have a go at him because I know why he wears sunglasses. There's a medical reason for it. But he sits there with his greasy black hair and he's going, and all he does is pontificate over the characters of everyone else in ufology. He contributes nothing to the subject, and most of what he says is unfair. He was bleating. I tell you, oh God, I'm not going to have a rant about this now, am I? Oh, no, right. He was bleating on the other day about Anthony Bragalia. He said, I know, he says, I know, the Virginia incident's fake because Anthony Bragalia discovered something about it in 2012. He discovered something about it in 20... I can't do impressions when my voice is like this. and so I thought, my God. So apparently Anthony Bragalia is a guy I have a lot of respect for. He's the one who blew open a lot of this material, the 111-page document about metamaterials. He was the guy who got those 10 pages or whatever it was declassified. He went through Susan Goff with FOIA and got them released. I went, oh my God, I thought, Anthony Bragalia has discovered something about Virginia that's not true. And Cambion was bringing this up on his, I think it was with Bob Kiviat. It was one of his things with Bob Kiviat. I might even be able to find it because I was listening to it the other day. Yes, I know. I listened to him. He's a hate watch of mine. It was a couple of months ago. He's had Bob Kiviat on just for Christmas. And I won't go on and on about this bloke and his productions. Here we are. Bob Kiviat after Alien Autopsy was this one.
Pretend it's
thumbed that
real,
down.
and
Good.
This is, and they make it sort of a phenomena. Okay.
Now Bob Kiviat's an interesting guy, and Colin Woolford has said a lot about him, but and I have watched, but I'll come back to the Terry Joyce thing in a minute. But I saw, so it's what I said. Anthony Brigalier 2012 discovered that the whole Virginia thing was fake. I went to this page that Brigalier put up. I don't know if I'll be able to find it now. See if I can. Hang on. Anthony Brigalier, Virginia. I don't know, where is it? Anton Brigalier? No. No, that's not the one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anyway. But that you can find it. The article's quite short to begin with, and then what is it he presents? What is this groundbreaking evidence that he discovered 11 years ago that proves Virginia's fake? It's the bloody Modinho thing, which I've just been through with Steve mumbling. This is the whole Modinho thing was a fabrication. It was invented by General Pereira when he did his press conference to put people off the scent. It's part of the cover-up. I've explained to Steve mumbling how the whole thing about Modinho was a load of crap. I'm basically to explain in a nutshell. They're claiming that the three girls didn't see an alien. They saw a homeless man, a disabled homeless man with mentally impaired. Nonsense, total nonsense. And so I'm not going to rant on about this. On the subject of what he calls here a grape charge, right? The charges against Miles were dropped. Where's the truth? Where is it? The Truth Seeker thing. The charges against Miles were dropped. I'm not going to go into details. I mean, I know what happened here. I'm not going to go into details. Whatever your name is, Keith Smith. Miles was falsely accused. I mean, he shouldn't even said he was questioned by the police a couple of times. I think it was 3 times he was questioned by them, and then he was NFA. They would say no further action. If I'd been in his position, he shouldn't have even said anything publicly because he was never charged with anything, and Miles must realize how our enemies, people who hate us, they're going to present his words. They are going to interpret them in the most ungenerous and defamatory way possible. But there you go. I have watched the video you've sent me, with the one where Terry Joyce is on there. I've got nothing against Terry. Terry's okay, but I think this whole thing is manufactured outrage, basically. Same with all the Simon Park stuff. That's I've done an entire article on Simon Parks. Let me just have a look here. Where is it? There you go. Check it out. It's all on there. Simon Parks is innocent, okay? It's all in this article here. You can find it. There's the URL. I'm not going to repeat myself now. So moving swiftly on, Steve Mumbling says to Keith Smith, "Thanks, hilarious. The Basis channel is just wall-to-wall rubbish. It's not even worth taking the pee out of." Well, I think it's good. I mean, I've been on a few videos, Steve, and I think it's good. Sure, it's not perfect. Keith Smith says to Steve, "Have you noticed Johnston's aggressive bullying? He's always discouragingly putting Ben down." That's Keith. I appreciate your concern, but I could handle Miles pretty well. I don't think Miles is not seriously doing any harm. He's having a laugh, and I have a laugh with him as well. So I wouldn't worry about it. But thanks for your concern. Steve says, "I don't think it's exclusive to Ben. Johnston is probably a plastic psychopath, a narcissist, fucked in the head, just like most of his customers." They're not customers, Steve. They don't pay him a penny. I mean, I don't think that every interview Miles does is good. I think some of them some of the guests he has on some of the interviews he does is very bad. He thinks the same about me. But a lot of them are excellent. David Smith says, I'm not sure about Mars, but would be open to a peek at Uranus. Unoriginal joke time, I think, yes. Max Clue says to Keith Smith, I've noticed Johnston often treats Ben like he's scrapped off his shoe. Miles, look, and he says, Warren, I've also seen Ben deny such obvious abuse. I've stood up to Miles, I have. You don't know, I mean, I have in our private world, and I don't think he does. I think I give him as good as I get. Max Q says to Steve, until spaceflight becomes as common a place as air travel, White will never travel in space. Remember the Rapid Eye Movement Act? Take a close look at his eyes on his videos. ATM spaceflight candidates are regularly tested for what's causing those symptoms. Well, rapid eye movement is something you have when you're asleep, when you're dreaming. But if Jarrah's got something wrong with his eyes, I mean, obviously he'll be tested for those things, but it may not be anything serious. It may just be the way his eyes work. Steve Mumbling says to Max, the point is, White tells us he will be fried by radiation below low Earth orbit. I'd say with this bad voice, I can do Steve Mumbling much better. If he truly believed that, why would he so eager to sign up for a suicide mission? The answer is he very obviously doesn't believe his own rubbish. No, I've been through that, Steve. I've been through that. Max Q. I understand your point, Steve. Got it the first time. White's clearly a space cadet already. That's derogatory. A space cadet is often a derogatory word for someone who's addicted to drugs. There's no I mean, that's if you're suggesting that, then that's slanderous. I don't think there's nothing that suggests Jarrah takes anything like drugs. Okay. Steve Mumbling says, reply to comment 69. The Virginia incident, the girls saw Modinho at a much greater distance than 8 feet. It was more like 20 meters. And it was raining. These stories of yours have to be grossly exaggerated to stimulate some intrigue where there is none. Steve, I've been through this. I think it might have been the last comments reply video. Modinho, the girls know Modinho. Virginia's got a population, I think, of about 80,000, if I remember rightly. 100,000, 80,000. Slightly smaller than Oxford. They knew this guy. Katia used to give him cigarettes. He wasn't homeless. He lived with his parents. He was a grown man, but he was a vulnerable adult. And you see, this is crazy. This was all made up by General Pereira. Well, that's when we first correction. We first heard about the Modinho theory when General Pereira did his press conference at the ESA. Now, someone else may have told him to make that up. But as you know, you must have seen the documentary where they go and try and interview Modinho. And his parent, he can't appear in front of cameras. Brazilian law won't allow that. But his parents are interviewed. We've been through this, Steve. You did a video about it. I put a bloody comment on your video. I even featured it in my own comments reply video. David Smith says underneath, but Steve, it must be more likely to be an alien, as Ben claimed proved. Obviously, it's more likely to be a holographic projection by some joker, though, right? Obviously, that's where the tech for holoplanes came from. All makes perfect sense. David Smith is being his usual sarcastic self. As I said, Steve mentions in his video, is it more likely to be a homeless man with a speech impediment and a hunchback, or is it more likely to be an alien from planet whatever? Well, the answer is the latter, because it's much more likely, I think, to be a space alien from some distant planet than a man whom all 3 girls knew very well, who they saw from 8 feet. It was 8 feet, Steve. It wasn't 20 meters. If you watch James Fox's film, you can see that the entire enclosure, which is now, it used to be a passageway, it's now an enclosure. It's barely. I think I measured it as being 27. I think it was 77 feet across. I don't know what that is in metric, but he'd have had to have been at the other end of the enclosure. Then they point to the spot on the wall where the creature was sitting. The mother saw the footprints. It's far more likely to be that than 3 girls walking down a passageway, passing 8 feet from a man they knew, and would have instantly recognized him and think he's an alien. Oh, Steve, we've been through that, Steve. We've been through it. Okay. TK. Yes, it's easy to play the guitar right-handed, like Paul even if you're left-handed. Drop your accent for a Scouse one and blag all the person's friends, family, and countless fans across the world that you are them. All very easy, totally plausible. You can always trust a bookie, HPANWO. Yes, hashtag HPANWO. Well, you can always trust a bookie, like I explained. Bookmakers and people like that who rely on statistics for a living are much more reliable analysts than academics who get paid regardless, and get paid even more when they just than when they spout an establishment narrative. A bookie can't afford to do that. If a bookie relies on an establishment narrative, they lose money. It's like, yeah. Flight comment 69, Steve mumbling. I didn't say NASA wasn't looking for UAPs. I said NASA wasn't interested in talking to UFO fanboys like yourself and Dolan, etc. They're looking for evidence, not science fiction stories. Well, that's a ridiculous dismism for a start. Secondly, even from the very earliest days of Project Blue Book, they knew, the government knew that it had to bring in private individuals, civilian ufologists, because they are the people with the evidence. We're the people who gather it. We're the people who do the hacking at the coalface for this entire subject. Paola Harris was saying the other day, she showed pictures of herself. She was with QFOS, I think, in 1980 or something, and she showed her an image of herself, like a picture of herself as a young woman, and it's signed by J. Allen Hynek. Flight comment 69. Jam Noise 72. Hello, Soul Sister. What's wrong with seeing more black people? When I was a kid, all I had was Floella and Lenny. Upsets me when I hear talk like this. In fact, the fact that we still discuss colour and gender is just so basic. It's just how they want us discussing this and arguing over this. Don't you see that, bro? This discussion is irrelevant. Of course, I remember Floella and Lenny too. They're still around. There's nothing wrong with seeing more black people. I mean, she's referring to cinema and things like that. Jam Noise herself is black. There's nothing wrong with seeing more black people jam noise. In fact, when I watched Cy Enfield Zulu, you may notice that the Zulus are all played by black people. I just talked a bit earlier. I mean, I don't know if you saw my review of the second Black Panther movie. Even though it's a pretty bad movie, it would have been unwatchable if any of the Wakandan characters had been played by white cast members. So yes, these are situations where you have to cast black people. I know you talk about what do you say here? This is how they want us discussing this and arguing. Are you talking about like a divide and rule situation? I don't think this. You're right that they try and divide and rule us and turn us against each other along these fault lines, but that's a separate point. I think jam noises. I don't think it is irrelevant. What I'm objecting to, and I think I'm right to, is when they seem to be using miscast people on basis of race, in a sense, to attack us, to make us look stupid and make us feel stupid, depending on who you are. So this is an attack against non-white people, in a sense. They're putting non-white people into roles which really should be cast with white people. And this makes them look bad. It makes us white people feel like we're being pushed out the way, like we're being demoralized and things like that. So this is indeed something this is how they want us to be, but it's not about arguing and division. It's about internal demoralization. I don't know how clear I'm making that. But so there's nothing wrong with seeing more black people in various films. If they remake Zulu, I would expect to have an entire cast of mostly black people, except for the British soldiers, who would all be white, I'd assume. That's the point we're making. This is the point Gary and I myself were making about woke. That's the basis of woke, basically, you see, which is an attack on us. It's an attack on our minds. Gary Robinson says, Floella B was a legend. I wonder if she's still around. Yes, she was. She used to do children's programs, and she did she's got an unmistakable voice. She used to do the intros for the old VHSs, saying, this is an 18 certificate film, which means it's this, that, and the other. Yeah. And BZ Garson, yes, she is, and she's hardly aged. Jamnoy says black don't crack. It's true, actually. I mean, I think that white people seem to age much quicker and more obviously than non-white people. Let's have a look. Luella Benjamin. Let's have a look at her. Oh yeah, she's not that changed that much, actually. She still looks very... Is this her now? Wikipedia. She's still got... She hasn't changed much, has she? How old is she now? She must be pretty old. Born 1949. Age 73. Look at her. Still got a happy smiling. Yeah. She's now Dame Floella Benjamin, I believe. Yes. The Right Honourable Baroness Benjamin. Oh, right. Oh, you're my lady. I'm glad she's still around. Lenny Henry's still around too. The thing about Lenny is, and I grew up with him too. Lenny Henry's trying to reinvent himself as a wokey, just like bloody Whoopi Goldberg. Thing is, I think they're sort of losing it a bit. Whoopi and Lenny are losing it, and they're not as funny as they used to be, which is why they're trying to jump on this bandwagon. And I think it's dishonest of them. Right now, let's have a look. Jamnoy 72 again. Can't replace the A with a U, bro. Oh, I see. Can't. Yes, I can't. You're trying to dodge the because they do actually. YouTube has started like they've started like not allowing you to swear, or they allow you to, but you a lot of comments, even basic comments with swear words, get deleted. And you know how I know that? Because it was my last conversation with Andrew Johnson was in a YouTube comments section, and I think you can just imagine. How much swearing there was in that comment. And it didn't appear on Andrew's comment. And I know he hadn't blocked me because I put other comments on there. I think so. I actually even when you put like asterisks and things, they block it. Anyway, Gary Robinson says, I think Ben's forgotten about the cant shop already, Jackie. No. I haven't, Gary. David says to Gary, but not your... Oh, God. David Smith says to Gary, but not your wife. Whatever you say to David now, Gary's fine with me. Jamnoy says to David Smith, go and find your own wife. You'll be lucky. Not many women will put up with a sarcastic git like David Smith. Jamnoy, hopefully we'll get the joke now. I can't remember it all, but you said... I can't remember it all, but I'll look back on that when I've done this video. Thank you. Reply to comment 69, Keith Smith. Is there any update on Miles Johnston's grape charges? Keith, I've just been through that. No, there's no update. There's nothing to update. He was not... You say it's a grape charge. He was never charged. He announced he was investigated for... he said that someone had accused him of rape, and he'd been questioned by the police a few times. He'd been arrested. He'd been arrested and then questioned by the police two more times. He was released. He was never charged. It wasn't they dropped charges. He was never even charged at all. He was given an NFA, no further action, and that was over a year ago. For goodness' sake, Keith. This is why Miles just shouldn't have said anything. He should have just kept his mouth shut. He really should have done. He really just should have kept his mouth shut because he's not. There's no obligation for him to say anything. It's not going to be publicised until he's charged. He was never charged. Michael Snow says, I like these rep to convids. Oh, thanks, Michael. Glad you do, mate. Glad you do. Reply to comment 69, Tessa 1111. Christopher Lee was upset that Saruman and Wormtongue scenes in The Return of the King were cut. Me too. All right. I don't know what the me too things was. Yes. It is what happened was if you buy the extended edition of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, the scene where Saruman and Wormtongue are in at the beginning is there. The problem is that in the book, I don't know if you've read the books. In the books, of course, Saruman comes back at the end. There's this thing called the Scourging of the Shire. Oops, that's the end of an hour. there's a chapter called The Scourging of the Shire, in which Saruman tries to get his revenge on the hobbits, and that's actually absent. That entire plot line is absent from the film. So basically, what that means is that Saruman is literally removed from the final chapter, and Christopher Lee didn't like it. He was a total Christopher Lee. I mean, he's a big actor, I suppose. His ego was a bit, what people like with ego. Anyway, that's the end of an hour, guys. I'll be back for hour number 2 pretty soon. So how do you stop StreamYard? End recording. All right, well, that's fairly simple. I'll press it and see what happens. Okay, part 2, hour number 2. Let's reply to comment 70. I found that the save function seemed to work. Now, the first, what happens with StreamYard is it saves whatever recording you've done, and then you have to download it. You have to download it from whatever cloud it's saved on. First time it downloaded it, I got a network error. I thought, oh, bloody hell, this is going to be a recurring problem. Luckily, the second time I downloaded it, it worked. So I'm going to risk it again. Obviously, like if there's a network error, I can't download it. I'll have to reshoot this entire segment again, which I don't want to do. But if it proves to be reliable, I think it's worth a chance. It's worth a try. So anyway, let's go back again. Tessa1111 was saying here on reply to comment 69. Oh, no. Oh, so yeah. Said they were supposed to ruin Hobbiton for the ending to be right. Correct, that's right. This is what I think Lee's a big fan of the books, and he said, hang on a minute, what about the Scourging of the Shire? Saruman is not supposed to fade out of the story at the beginning of Return of the King. Saruman is supposed to he goes to ground, but he comes back after the ring is destroyed, and he goes to the Shire to wreak his revengeance on the hobbits. Now, it's a disturbing story, actually, because you think it's all over, and then there's this Scourging of the Shire chapter where trees are destroyed, which is a recurring theme in Tolkien, the destruction of trees, which is a kind of cipher of barbarism for Tolkien. But because Frodo has the magic powder from the elves, he can sprinkle them on the tree stumps, and the trees regrow. And then he's also merciful to Saruman, and Saruman is really put out because Frodo is so merciful. It's quite amusing, that. And then you get the final scene, which is the harbour scene, which is where Bilbo has to leave and go with the elves. He goes down to Shadow Harbour. What's it called? Shadow Harbour. I can't remember what it's called, but that is in the film. Yeah, Tess, I remember it. And so of course, Lee then refused to go to the Oscar ceremony. This is when Return of the King won its Best Picture award, which is what Jackson had been after for ages. He refused to go along. He says, well, I wasn't in the movie. Okay, Tessa says here on reply to comment 69, Paul Robeson, Showboat on Broadway. No, only not the movie. All right, so you mean he wasn't just in the film Showboat? No. He wasn't. He sings that Old Man River song in his classic voice, which I can currently sound like, but only until my cold gets better. Yeah. Okay, cheers. Right, David's. Oh, wait, we've got a thread here. We've got a thread. Reply to comments 69. And we have Gary Robinson. Ben, in regards to what David was saying about it being harmless for films and TV shows to be realistic in terms of showing gay people, etc., I completely agree, so long as the films and TV shows in question are for adults. The problem with Disney is that they're putting these themes into productions aimed at very young children. Just to turn this on its head, you wouldn't expect to watch Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, a popular kids show, and see them making a big thing out of two characters in a hetero relationship. But somehow Disney thinks it's okay to inform children that some of their characters are gay. These issues shouldn't even be on a child's radar. Cheers. I agree, Gary. I think it's informing people. Children of that age shouldn't be informed about the realities of sex. They should be, obviously they're going to be exposed to baseline relationships, heterosexual, in say fairy tales where the prince marries the princess. That should be until they've reached a certain age, I think that should be the end of it. They should be that and nothing else. Then, I mean, if of course, in the reality of their families, their family life, they may well have people in their families, for example, who are homosexual, who are intersex and things like this. And this is how the schools and media try to justify it, but they can't justify it. As far as I'm concerned, if that's the case, if they live in that kind of family, then it should be dealt with within the family. It's got nothing to do with school. It's got nothing to do with teachers. It's none of their business. Leave them kids alone, as Pink Floyd sang. So I agree with you. And Gary says, as I'm typing this, you are basically explaining exactly what I've typed. I really must start listening before I spam comment. Lol, that's all right, Gary. Gary said, I should add that I've watched part of the Disney Zoom call, and in the short clip that I saw, one of the female executives stated that she specifically wanted to use their programs to put, quote, queer, unquote, issues on children's minds. I can't remember exactly how she said it, but she specifically stated they wanted to manipulate kids watching their content. The call was for a couple of hours long, and for me to come across that part quite randomly can only mean the rest of the meeting was full of similar talk. Either that, Gary, or someone from a higher dimension was guiding you. But that is, I mean, has this been published? Is this on this Disney Zoom call? It's been published. They're speaking about it openly. I mean, I wouldn't, I'm just appalled by that. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not surprised. They've admitted essentially they want to mind control their young viewers. Of course, Disney's been doing this since the beginning, but they're saying it so openly in such a blatant and bland and really quite horrible way. It's disgusting. David Smith says, to be honest, I don't watch a lot of Disney stuff, but what age are we talking about? I'd say if it's media that's aimed at an appropriate age to include a romantic relationship of any kind, it should be fine. If it's for a larger age range, like Shrek or something, then include a less conventional relationship would be likely aimed at older audiences, and a child might ask questions, but so what? Don't really get the big problem. I think firstly, David, the problem is in Gary's post. This Disney executive said we want to put ideas into children's minds. We want to manipulate the way they think and feel. That in itself is a problem. That's mind control. They're admitting it. I think really, Shrek is actually, like you say, is a family show, really, which means it shouldn't have very, very explicit sexual themes. I mean, obviously, it has like hints of these things because it's designed to be watched by both adults and children. But what they want to do is they want to like put in trans issues and gay issues and things like this, which is really for adults only. It is for adults only. If children encounter these things in their own lives, it's not for the media or for the schools to sort of help them through it. It's for the family and the family only. Lauren Thompson says on reply to comment 69. Okay, after listening to your reply to me, thanks so much for that. Oh, this is a flat earth thing, I think. I guess I will venture to ask my one flat earth related question. So here is the seeming indiscrepancy. Indiscrepancy is a real word, by the way, I think. Yes, it is. It means a contradiction, something that doesn't fit. Plumb bobs. They are used to make parallel lines. The weight at the bottom falls straight down towards the center of gravity. Yeah, they're basically used for judging the depth of water, for example. You'd have a length of rope, you lower it down until you can't feel the weight anymore. You know the plumb bob has reached, that's the big lump of lead, basically, has reached the bottom of the sea. This is where you get the phrase plumbing the depths. The weight at the bottom falls straight down towards the center of gravity. Yes, but the Earth is a sphere, so a plumb bob should not make parallel lines. If you can explain to me how plumb bobs can be used to make parallel lines on a globe, I'll be eternally grateful. Truly, thank you for tolerating such a subject. I appreciate that, even though I'm not a flat earther, lol. I'll be glad to be able to put this question to rest. Okay, you're not a flat earther. Fair enough, Lauren. Even people who don't believe in the flat earth, was it Socrates says the mark of an educated mind is to entertain an idea without necessarily accepting it. The plumb bob is used to make parallel lines. I mean, I think you may be confusing latitude and longitude lines. Let's have a look. No, it's a plumb bob. Let's have a look. Is a weight usually with a point at the tip of the bottom, suspended from a string. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Right. Yeah. I thought it was the thing used for measuring the depth of water. It's actually used as a way of measuring whether something is straight or not. So for example, it's an alternative to a spirit level. So measuring if you're building work, you want to know if your uprights are straight or whether your beams are straight and things like that. I see, I understand. I thought it was just measuring the depth of water. Apologies. So the answer is, okay, the weight of the bottom falls straight. I'll reread this, but the Earth is a sphere. So the plumb bob should not make parallel lines. Well, it doesn't. If you hang a plumb bob, for example, if you hang a plumb bob from the top of the Humber Bridge on one of the uprights, and you hang another plumb bob from the other upright on the other side of the river, it will diverge it'll diverge if you make it long enough to reach the bottom. It'll diverge by 1/7 of an inch, so it doesn't make parallel lines. So a plumb bob should not make parallel lines. It doesn't, see. So I think they said that the Humber Road Bridge was for a while was the longest bridge in the world. I think it was recently surpassed. And the curvature of the Earth had to be included into its design because the two uprights had to diverge by, I think, not very much, only by a fraction of a degree, maybe an arc second or something. But it meant that the distance between the two bottoms of the uprights and the distance between the two tops of the uprights is, I think, even 0.7 or 1.7 inches further. BZ says, no, indiscrepancy is not a word, but discrepancy is. All right, I say. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Oxford English Dictionary. Lawrence Thomas says, LMAO, really? Well, thank you. Good to know. Okay. Discrepancy. Okay. Well, I understood what you meant, Lauren, anyway. But there's your answer. Charles, all right, okay. I'm going to skip over Charles Scott. Sorry, Charles, but, you as I said before, your whole perspective on life will be changed if you just kiss one woman on the lips. I swear to you, it will. I'm not, Charles, I don't want to be nasty to you. If you, as Gary said, if you want to discuss a different subject, I'm happy to listen to you. But I'm through with this. I'm through with this whole thing. It's been now, it's in this May, it's going to be a whole year since this all broke out, and it's boring. And your obsession with the minutiae of the whole issue is boring. I think you've accused me falsely. I think you think I've accused you falsely. I don't agree. But let me end this by saying there is a new Outer Limits conference. Here we go. I'm just going to find it for you. There's another one this year. Look, here we go. Let me show you the Facebook. This is the Facebook page here. I don't think there's anything wrong with showing you this Facebook page. Here we go. Tell you there is a new Outer Limits magazine conference, and it's here. So Charles, here you go. Why don't you go yourself? Saturday the 30th, Middleton Hall, University of Hull. It's got a different venue. It's just one day this year. We've got Darren Cooper, Dr. David Clark, Steve Aspin, Philip Mantle, Peter Robbins, Ryan Sprack. Well, I have it on good authority. Someone has contacted me privately, informed me that I am not banned from this one. There's actually its own website here. I'm actually not banned from it. So I could attend if I could attend. I'm not sure what I'm doing there, but here you go. There's actually I do quite like the list of speakers is actually, where's the list of speakers? Let's go back to Facebook. Dr. David Clark is always interesting, complete skepper, but I'd be interested to hear him again. Philip Mantle, again, disagree with him on a lot of things, but still would be interested to hear what he has to say. Peter Robbins, moving swiftly on. Ryan Sprague. Ryan Sprague he's a new speaker over here, I think. He runs the Somewhere in the Skies UFO show, so that's quite a good show, actually. I quite enjoy that show. So, yeah, you can actually go to that, I'd say. Go to it. Nothing as it seems says here. I'm dropping the links to a series of thought-provoking interviews with an APRO investigator, Alan Levine, courtesy of Richard Dolan himself. Let's have a look. APRO Insider speaks out. Oh, yeah.
Richard Dolan Show, where every week we fight the good fight. I'm very
I'm not
excited
oh,
about
I've
this week's
thumbed it
program.
up, so I must have seen it. I can't
Fascinating
remember
guest
seeing it 2 months
that
ago.
I'm sure you have not heard of, but you will know who he is when we're done. That's for sure. This is Alan Levine. We're going to be talking about his experience in the field of UFO research. Alan goes back.
Thanks. Unless there's a few more here. There's this one as well.
Greetings and welcome to the Richard Dolan Show, where every week we fight the good fight.
Right. Okay.
I am back with a guest that.
Nothing. Thank you very much for that. I'll have a look. I've watched one of them. I can't remember watching it, but I always like Richard's shows, so I'll watch the rest. Right. Reply to comment 69. I'm not on screen share. Just double check now. Dark Corner says, Ben, hey Ben, an update on the whole Indiana Jones 5 debacle news. News has just been released that Lucasfilm and Disney board members are not impressed with the final results, especially regarding Phoebe Waller, bridge character. All right. As such, they are allegedly going back to the cutting room and re-editing the movie with the intention of removing Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character from a large percentage of the movie. I'm going to take that as a win. Yeah, Dark Corners. Yeah, Gary Robinson has been explaining this to us, and it's absolutely true. It is a win. It's basically they've caved into pressure from shareholders over the knowledge that it's going to ruin it if they make it woke. Good. But about time they learn that bloody lesson. Okay, what dreams may come? Watch Read Party new video. Jack Byrne says The Dead Zone 1983 might be a good watch party movie, Ben. You can still find it on Alltech as well. It's a very good film where Christopher Walken plays a man who is he plays a man who is in a car crash, goes into a coma. When he comes out of it a few years later, he's got clairvoyance and precognisant powers. It's very good. Jam Noise says, bro, are you into bondage? Why are you asking, Jackie? What's up with a rope around your headboard? Oh, right, that is a bag, actually, and it's a flag with my name on from Wales, and so I thought I'd put it on there. It's not meant to be kinky, but if people think it is, more the better. Oh, here we are on Charles. Okay, I'm not reading Charles Scott stuff. Oh, we got now Max Q. I posted this. Okay, this is the thing you accused me of not reading out. Okay, I'll read it out. One reason for Gateway is the SpaceX Starship Lunar Lander variant that will land astronauts on the moon. They will never return to Earth, acting as a taxi between Gateway and the moon for all Artemis moon missions. Right, so it's basically just simply going to stay on the moon, going backwards and forwards between the moon. Okay. That way, you don't have to take or pay for a disposable lunar lander for each mission. Makes sense. The SpaceX Starship Lunar Lander variant will fly to the Gateway completely independent of NASA, although it will have a NASA logo on it for NASA missions. They fronted some dollars towards development of the craft SpaceX is going to make anyway. There are many other reasons, but that one is sufficient. Sure, fine with me. I don't disagree with any of that. I see you guys were scoffing at the 33-engine Super Heavy booster. You're clearly not up to speed. Super Heavy is coming along nicely. Static fire tests are going well. And an orbital flight of Starship and Super Heavy is due any week now. Oh, really? Hasn't happened yet? If you search Starship on YouTube, there are untold streams showing all the work at Starbase, Texas, etc. live 24/7. I've seen a couple of those, Max. If you think you get up to speed, you will be shocked just how far along SpaceX are. That's not just one Starship, Super Heavy, or Starbase. Okay, well, I'll check that out, Max. SpaceX don't have a spacesuit at the moment. It's true Hollywood costume designer Jose Fernandez's input was used for the look, not its workings or function, of the flight pressure suits we use. Why not? All right, it's just amusing, that's all. It's just amusing that they would do that. It's kind of, I know it's a product, they've got to sell it. It doesn't make you see, this is just going to add to people's suspicions, Max, that the publicity and the production design element of this mission goes deeper than they're saying. Look inside the Crew Dragon's capsule. Does it look like Soyuz or Apollo? Well, only slightly. It's got like the It's got the couches, for launch, the G-force couches and things like that. Okay, you guys seem to be living in the past. Why? Even if you could rebuild Apollo when technology's moved on so far. Well, have you read Phil Coots's article in Nexus about that? Look at NASA's mission control for Artemis or SpaceX Hawthorne compared to Apollo. Well, of course things are going to be. We're talking 50 years. Of course, certain things are going to advance. Why not? Yeah. You're looking at 20, give or take, people with 2 or 3 flat screen monitors. The Orion capsule's innards look old and dated. We want better, sleek, futuristic. Why not? Well, this is like the old thing about. Well, the thing is, it's rather like the old argument that, even though the Soviet Union beat the US into space, they did so with cruder technology. It's not going to make any difference. Mr. and Mrs. Joe Blow in upstate New York is not. And they're not looking up into the sky, seeing Sputnik go over and thinking, "Blimey, nice work, but our germanium diodes are much better than theirs." They're not, you're talking about, yes, indeed, electronic interfaces are different now, and indeed, electronic power has gone up. But that doesn't mean you're going to change a fundamental piece of engineering just to make it look better. Why would engineers use radiation measurements from an Apollo command module for an Orion command module? That would be dumb and reckless, would it? Are you saying that data is now worthless? When this is the only time, allegedly in the past, a manned mission has ever gone to the moon, and you're saying that data would now be worthless just because it's just from a different measurement? Here we go. Oh yes, NASA have the radiation measurements from inside Apollo CMs on a moon trip, but they're not flying an Apollo CM, are they? I know you guys are not engineers, but this is basic stuff. I don't think you have to be an engineer to know it's also basic stuff. That this is apparently the first manned mission to the moon since the Apollo CM went there. Therefore, the idea that you would just simply abandon that data doesn't make sense. The ISS often gets hit by micrometeorites. So did the STS. Commander Chris Hadfield, in his masterclass, talks about hearing these strikes. I know, I've seen it. The ISS does not need a boost every now and then. It's done during the docked Russian Progress spacecraft. Max, however it's done, I've seen the video of them doing it. I've seen them. There's a slight amount of gravity, there's a slight amount of G force when the actual burn takes place. They show it by holding up an object, and you see it drifting slowly in one direction, which it never does normally in microgravity. Russia, at the beginning of the war with Ukraine, threatened to stop providing this service. No problem, SpaceX could do it with a docked Dragon or Crew Dragon spacecraft. The same goes for Gateway. A docked Starship or lunar variant will give it a nudge. Well, okay, so if that works, fair enough, but I'm willing to see it work. The dummies, actually called Phantoms on Artemis 1, have female forms because women typically have greater sensitivity to the effects of space radiation. Put simply, because they have breasts. Only Zohar will wear an Astrorad vest, so the difference can be measured. The name Zohar is very interesting because there is like Zohar Media, which, believe it or not, is like a woo-woo. It's like a woo-woo media. They organise conferences and they make documentaries and things. Isn't that interesting, Max? I know I'm involved. I've written some scripts for Zohar videos, which you used to be able to find them on. They're gone now, but for a couple of years they were on YouTube. The shielding itself is the Astrorad vest. Is comprised of polymer with high abundance of hydrogen. I've no idea where Rasa got boron nitride nanotubes from. Neither the Orion or Starship heat shields are made from boron nitride nanotubes. In fact, boron nitride nanotubes are not used in any hardware for Artemis or Starship, including spacesuits. NASA are planning to use boron nitride nanotubes for the heat shield in future Artemis missions to Mars. Rasa has clearly got all this around his neck, which leads me to conclude if he's working for the Chinese National Space Administration as a translator, he doesn't understand what he's translating. Well, you'd have to ask Rasa about that. I don't have an answer to that. You didn't read out at least the first 50% claiming its background. All right. Well, I've read it out now, Max, so stop moaning. Reply to comment 69. Fabricating a screenshot is more difficult than deleting an... Oh, dear. Oh, this is a thread, I think. Is this a thread? No, it's not. It's more difficult than deleting an email. Taking a screenshot of your inbox and claiming you never received a deleted email is as simple as Ben could have deleted the email before he took his screenshot. It doesn't have to be more technical than that. Honestly, I don't care, Max. I'm tired of this subject. I've told you what happened. You can believe me or not believe me. It's up to you. But I told you I did. I actually have an entire video explaining how I was banned from the first OLM conference. There's an entire video on Tino Megara's channel explaining that. I did want to go to the second one and couldn't. I kept applying for tickets and couldn't get them. They wouldn't reply to me. Then they announced that they never banned me at all, and I had no way to prove that because all the evidence I present you say is fake, and Charles Scott said it's fake. I'm through with trying to persuade you. I really am. Just think whatever you like. Swerve it. All right, we have Swerve it 21. That's a good name. Reply to the Paul McCartney comment. When I was 12 in 1966, I heard Paul died in a car crash. I remember crying with my friend. Then all of a sudden, he was alive again. Very strange. I never forgot it. Blimey. I mean, this just doesn't surprise me, Swerve it. Nowadays, they wouldn't get away with this because news reports can be. Presumably, this wasn't in a newspaper. This would have been on TV or something. Nowadays, of course, we record these things. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did put out a news story and then it was withdrawn. This happens, of course, these days all the time. First, there's a Russian missile that's just hit Poland. Oh, no, it wasn't Russian. And they just put out new news stories saying it wasn't a Russian missile. It was a Ukrainian anti-aircraft missile. And there's no excuse nowadays because people can go to Wayback Machine and they can archive the original. They can look up the archive for the original story. But they don't because, unfortunately, people who control the narrative tend to control where people's attention goes. But that's very interesting. I mean, obviously, if you can find anyone who has some kind of recording of this, it could just be an audio recording made of the speaker. Could you let me know? Because it would be essential evidence. Pioneer Spirit says on Truth Seekers Northeast off duty. Indoors without masks on. Blasphemy. Haha. Love all the old buildings, Ben. Thanks, Trevor. That's Trevor from Third Rail. Gary Robinson, the Gateshead Grey classic Rich Planet episode. It was indeed. I mean, I think you have to download it now. It's not being played anywhere. And Gary Robinson says he did indeed say that to RDH that one of them looked like Chewbacca. Yeah. He also said that the craft would have been too small for them all to fit in, which is a very interesting idea, one that he wouldn't have come up with by himself. Investigate with Nick. Great work, Ben. Great video, Ben. I do enjoy your inventions. Keep up the good work, mate. I will do Investigate with Nick. Thanks very much. Same video, Neil Peel. In that still looks like you are checking Apollo shadows. Of course, you can see yes in the thumbnail for the video. You get like parallel, like shadows that go in line with sunlight. Yes. Popcorn Boxing says good video. Thanks, Popcorn Boxing. Much appreciated. Same video, Keith Smith. It must be great to get out of the basement. Oh yeah, it was. Oh, you mean my basement? I don't. Keith, I do. I live in a sort of half basement. Yes, I do. But that's our flat. That's just the way our flat is built. And it was great to get out and about, actually. Donna Wellham. When I first heard about the Gateshead Grey, it was very interesting, especially with the fella describing what he and his friends saw. I think the link is still on YouTube somewhere. It may well be on YouTube somewhere. I mean, interestingly, the video I found of the update was actually on a channel that deals with local history in Gateshead. It was not on a UFO video channel. It was on one that just deals with the local history of Gateshead. Donna Wellham says also, I wish we had more UFOs, etc. get-togethers down in Cornwall, but we always have to travel upline for them. All right, Donna, there's the Cornwall UFO group, which I don't know if it's having a conference this year. But Donna, there are events in Cornwall, definitely. Yeah. Same video, John Nolan. What would a Grey be doing in Newcastle? I don't know. Trying to find the Nuki Bro Neil, I think. The Lights Below says clubbing or being clubbed. Neil Peel says when the ship floats in. Yeah. There's Shane Faulkner says on The Truth Seekers Northeast 8 off duty. Another enjoyable video. Keep up the good work, Ben. Thanks, Shane Faulkner. And Maureen, I've actually replied by text to Maureen. Maureen, what she says, thanks for visiting Truth Seekers Northeast. And I said, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. I loved every moment of it. Thanks. Truth Seekers Northeast off duty. Jam Noise 72. All right, this is a timestamp here. Oh my God, that's beautiful. I think I know what this is. It's the stained glass, isn't it, Jackie? In that place where the church was. Yes, it is beautiful. It is lovely. Right, so part 1 of 2. Truth Ben Emlyn-Jones live at Truth Seekers Northeast 8, part 1 of 2. Keith Smith says, you'd think the aliens would give you a lift in their spaceship. Yeah. Well, they couldn't be bothered, I think. They couldn't be bothered. Popcorn Boxing, same video, 520. It's a 520. It's the same video, but it's a timestamp here. All right, it's the sexual harassment bit. Who says it's that sexual harassment sticker I saw on the window, if you remember. The latest signs in Britain, is sexual harassment a problem on coaches then? Yeah, that is what I was asking. Why is it such a problem now? They have to actually put stickers on the windows of all the coaches. And GBR, I made this point in the video. So GSR says chatting up a bird isn't allowed anymore in the UK. They don't want the sexes to mingle. It's true. Unfortunately, GSR, men have been complained about simply for flirting. Yeah. And they've received obviously they can't charge you with rape or something, but they've been charged with inappropriate sexual conduct, for flirting. It's disgusting. Yeah, Neil says, Neil Peel, funny how they make a fuss if sexual harassment on coaches, which I've never heard about, but no one is making a fuss of the government bodily harassing us to take their job. Absolutely, Neil, yes. And Popcorn Boxing says, yes. So, yeah, good point, isn't it? Yeah, very definitely. That's definitely the way. Popcorn Boxing says, haha, Worthy's original. Yes. It's another Alan Partridge reference, guys. Yes. It's on that same video. Darren Retro says on the same video, 1 of 2. Ben, I noticed that you have been moaning that people don't read your HPANWO blog much. Well, based on the viewing statistics I get, unless they've been fiddled with by the little elves at Google, I wouldn't put it past them. To be honest, not many people read long articles and rather prefer to watch or listen to content. Just a suggestion here. Why don't you have a monthly HPANWO blog update when you speak about some of your recent articles? Oh, well, thanks, Darren. I actually have a weekly update, which I do on the HPANWO radio show. But yeah, having a non-text edition is actually quite a good idea, I think. Yeah. BZ Garson, and some paragraph breaks. It turns your eyes out trying to read it. Oh, for goodness sake, BZ. I don't like the end. Every 2 sentences you have a paragraph break. It makes it look like a stupid signboard. It's very bad aesthetically. Come on. Let's try and be intellectual about this. Use the bloody magnifier. Use the browser magnifier or something. I'm not putting in paragraphs every 2 or 3 sentences. I do put paragraph breaks in, but I have proper paragraphs the way literature is supposed to be. Okay, 1 of 2. Michael Snow. Blue lights in the sky. 5:32. Is there? Here we go.
First time I've seen those. I wonder why they suddenly appeared.
Oh, right. Yes. He's talking about these. Yeah. Actually, those are reflections of the internal lights of the coach. But thanks for bringing that to my attention, Michael Snow. I'm still recording, aren't I? Yes. Where are we now? Okay. David Smith, gigantic UAP, says David Smith, moving at considerable speed. Undeniable, the proofs will never be able to explain. Well, David, I'm not a skeptic, and I've already explained it. Michael Snow, roughly the same speed as the coach. David Smith, Boulder Dash. I know someone who knows someone whose mother-in-law's second cousin actually witnessed the craft flying over her house. She said it was massive with a reflective surface and could see it even had windows. Can't deny the evidence. David, I don't think that's not evidence, unfortunately, but it's an anecdote. It's not. It's what is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a fifth-hand anecdote, which is not evidence. However, it doesn't mean it should be dismissed. I mean, it's still worth. You could try tracking down through this chain of custody of knowledge exactly where and find the principal witness. Andy Bird says on 1 of 2. Ben, my GoPro has a tendency to switch off in cold conditions too. It's a known battery issue, especially in an older model. So don't worry, your camera is probably fine. Invest in a protective housing or silicone wind cover for it. It will be grand. Thanks, Andy. I'll try that because I haven't chucked it away yet. I was going to, but I'll try that. Thank you. Because it does produce a very good quality picture and sound. Diego Rivera writes 2 of 2 now. This is Ben Emlyn-Jones live at Truth Seekers Northeast. 8, part 2 of 2. The doomsday clock has just been moved closer. Yes, Diego Rivera. I found out about that after I got home, unfortunately, because that would have been a good thing to put into my talk. Hatchy. Another thing set up in 1947, a truly amazing year. Was that when the doomsday clock started? Remind me. Interesting that 1947 was very amazing, wasn't it? I mean, seeing as a lot of this stuff was not really gone into. I mean, even Roswell, fell on a little bit of it did fall on stony ground in a way, because so much else was going on that year. I mean, the world was still recovering from World War II. In July of 1947, the Indian Civil War was raging, where 3 million people ended up getting killed in the end. I actually did if you watch my video, The Last Viceroy review, it's a roving review of a film called The Last Viceroy. I talk about the Indian Civil War in that. It's been depicted in the film Gandhi, but as well, which is very interesting. So yeah, a lot was going on in the world, which meant that a possible UFO crash retrieval in New Mexico wasn't necessarily headlines that would last. David Splendid Isolation, 90 Seconds to Midnight. Yes, I'm sure Iron Maiden will write a song about this. In the Bible, during the end of the age, before he returns, 2.7 billion people die. Fire is mentioned. All right. Is that from the book of Revelations? John Nolan said, with lots of bright, sparky emojis here, were boomed like they say on Dad's Army. Oh, I like Dad's Army. It's fun. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Keith Smith says to John Nolan, Ben has stocked up on mince pies and Co-op own branded lager to survive the apocalypse. You must be joking, Keith. You must be joking. I've got some red wine and I've got some Bakewell tarts. Mince pies can wait till Christmas. So if the apocalypse happens at Christmas, I will have those things. 2 of 2, nothing as it seems. Ben has a doctorate in dissension. Yes. First class from Loughborough University, David Smith says here, it's a thread. It's a thread. Steve Mumbling says on 1 of 2. Could you leave a timestamp for the truth, Ben? I didn't see any. Well, you haven't looked very hard, Steve Mumbling, because it starts at 0000000 and ends at whenever the film ends, at 2:21:11. There you go. And that's your timestamp for the truth on that video. Woody Black says, lol. Hello, Woody. David Smith says, Ben, quote, hey, skeptics, how many times would someone need to win the lotto before you stop calling it coincidence, unquote. Also, Ben, another year without disclosure, but it's all real, unquote. David Smith says, so how many years without disclosure do we need before we stop calling it a coincidence and admit there's nothing to this? Oh, right. This is... right, you're using an analogy here between two things I've said, which you're claiming are... which you can actually create a discrepancy. Was it an indiscrepancy? An indiscrepancy or discrepancy, which depending on whether you use your word or Lauren's word. But I'm gonna have to think about this. About how I'm sure I can just sense that this is a false analogy, David. But I'm trying to think of an explanation. Right, another year without disclosure. But right, I don't think the years without disclosure are coincidence. I think because there is what I'm doing. The disclosure thing has happened. It's not like every single year. When was it I started talking about disclosure? I think it was when I started the HPANWO blog in 2000. Was it 2006? God, I'm going a long time. I don't think you could say, well, every single year I say there's disclosure, and the next year I say the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. I know you skeptics will accuse me of that, but that's not true. Every year slightly different. There is some kind of progression. There's something comes out to make we think we're going either in this direction or that direction. You know, because Stephen Bassett, he has like the disclosure clock, doesn't he? It's like the doomsday clock, but it works for disclosure. So, and as for David, I must admit, you have put me on the spot a little bit here. I'm going to have to think some more about this and come back to it. So please remind me you left this comment, or write to me and tell me to go into it or something. But, you know, it's not the same thing. Every single year without disclosure, it doesn't mean that it's a coincidence. It just means that it hasn't happened at that point. So I can't think of any more right now. A 2 of 2. This is Jamno 72. This is a good one, bro. I think the story of Jesus is like that. A story. I don't buy bull. There's a pun here. Buy, B-I, brackets buy, to buy something. Blay, bull, B-U-L-L, lol. All right, this is interesting. What's this, Jackie? All right, Jesus.
Video is intended primarily for my brothers and sisters who have discovered that they are the
Oh, it's Dave
true
Murphy.
descendants of the Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh,
known as the Old
this is an
Testament.
hour and 9 minutes.
And for the
But this is Dave. This is allegedly Dave. Yeah, allegedly Dave. There he is. This is my former colleague on Critical Mass Radio. He used to come along at all the conferences. He used to wear a poncho, and he was cool. And he was into urine drinking and things like that. He reckoned he drank nothing but urine for 2 weeks. I'm not. I mean, Dave, you must have missed that. Maybe I'll question that a little bit. But he's very, very ill. This week saved my life. Oh, God. Oh, right, Dave. Yeah.
This is Dave.
He looks like David Curtin as well, which I think is really quite something. But I mean, I haven't spoken to this guy for years, but I used to be like, yeah, he used to be on, oh yeah, he used to be on Critical Mass Radio. Oh, nostalgia. Oh, Jackie, you've given me some CMR nostalgia there. But that's a long video. I can't watch all of it right now, but I will be looking into that. Yeah, I know there's another side to the story. I know there is about Jesus and stuff like that. But goodness me, it's like, wow. He's still going strong. I know he's a big flatty as well. I mean, he was in the Flat Earth documentaries and things like that. He's been to the big American conferences. Anyway, Jackie says here as well. Oops. What up? Oh, bugger off. Not you, Jackie. Not you. It's the bloody... Damn. The damn thing just flicked over. Damn it. Here we go. Here we go. Jam Noise 72 says here on 2 of 2. The truth behind it, I believe, is that they want everyone waiting on a savior instead of seeking to find themselves. Also, the whole saving us from our sins, through him you are saved, so they are free to sin, ? The story's been told over and over again in different formats with characters change, etc. Of the church, the church were the first ones telling the In the Name of Jesus crew to go and get a jabby. Yeah. You see, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that a lot of these religions were created artificially through the Illuminati networks. That's true. And David Icke has written extensively on this. I know you've put one here from allegedly Dave, a video which probably says something similar. Now the thing, yeah, you get forgivenesses, then you're free to sin. That's actually quite something that disturbs me a lot about the Catholic Church in particular. They will, priests will sell indulgences to certain people, which I think is rather disreputable. I mean, my uncle tried to buy a marriage annulment from a priest, which is, I think this is, well, that's a bit silly. It's almost like, well, the priest will arrange for God to forgive you if you pay him enough. It's stupid over and over again, yeah. And of course the church is right up there with the establishment going on about the JJs. I know. But despite that, there is, I mean, you put another comment here, which is what I want to reply to. Religion would have a common themes, bro, just to make it all real. Have you forgotten that religion itself is a man-made to control? Certainly, within the Illuminati period, it certainly is. I was just coming to this, actually, to reply to your other comment. Within the Illuminati occupation period, yes. But the common themes, which I'm referring to in this particular talk, this is part 2 of 2, which is the apocalyptic themes. They're much older. They are pre-Illuminati. So religion was wielded as a weapon by the Illuminati. The sun cults and the solar cults, which they attached to Jesus and Mithra and things like that. During their period that they controlled things from Babylon onwards, through ancient Egypt, through Sumer and stuff like that, through the and all these other ways that they created these religions in their sense. However, they were simply adapting themes from earlier pagan faiths, which date back to pre-Illuminati times. And it is these ancient pre-Illuminati beliefs that also have these archetypes about the apocalypse and things like this. This is why I still think it's interesting. This is why I brought this up in here. I mean, I take your points on what you talked about with Jesus and the man-made religions. I take those points completely. I haven't watched Dave's video yet, about Jesus, but I'm interested to see it. But it goes back it's much deeper side to it, which is why I brought this up on this video. Interesting comments, Jam Noise. Thanks very much. 1 of 2. Lisa, cry freedom. What they are doing regarding the architecture in cities, Ben, ain't good. They have totally wrecked the Liverpool riverfront line with the most hideous modern buildings. What it says to me is that the original Tartarian architecture, cannot or is not ever being matched for its authentic beauty. Instead, they fill up our skylines with horrendous modern atrocities. They will have to come down one day, methinks. Well, yeah, I'd like to see, there's many large buildings in various cities, especially ones built within the last 50 or 60 years, that I'd like to see the back of. The Tartarian thing is very interesting because I'm not into flat Earth, but I don't believe in flat Earth, but I couldn't dismiss this Secret History of the World video that Lisa sent me. It's a big long 6-hour one, which talked about things like the Crystal Palace and stuff like that, and San Francisco. I couldn't dismiss it. I couldn't explain some of these anomalies that it went into. So it could be that these are indeed from the Tartarian times, and maybe the Tartarian thing is real, and the mud flood thing, and these are literally things from before then. Yeah, definitely. I see what you mean. Lisa also says here, the more I see cities, the more I know I need the words. God, yeah. I wouldn't want to live in like a big metropolis. I mean, Oxford is a sort of like, it's kind of demi-monde between the two sides. Yeah, between the big city life and the country life. I mean, Oxford's a city, but I could walk for an hour and I'd be in the country. Yeah, you couldn't do that in London. And Lisa says, hey, nice to see Army. Hey, Army with the facial hair. Yes, Paul Armstrong. Yes, he exists. He's real. Lisa says here on 1 of 2 as well. The more you see it again and again, how hoodwinked the general public are in this movie world, Ukraine flag. Yeah. Well, again, the more it makes you want to just move to the woods. Yes. Just typing as I'm watching, Ben. Thanks, Lisa. 2 of 2, Dark Corners. Who's eating a packet of crisps? Oh, I think it was Richard. Richard Wright. Oops, what's happened there? I'm trying to. Yeah, okay. Thanks for the comment. Type, post. Yeah, thank you. So it wasn't working. It didn't work. I could hear it rustle. I think it was Richard. It didn't actually disturb me. It didn't disturb me, but I think it was Richard eating that. 1 of 2, Rick Horden. Wonderful stuff, Ben. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks, Rick. Much appreciated, mate. Much appreciated. Rick Horden. 1 of 2. UK Space Command is based at RAF Wickham, is it? Blimey, I'll have to go there. Gary Robinson says 1 of 2. Did you watch Bangkok Chick Boys in your hotel room? That's another Alan Partridge show. Gary, I was watching Driving Miss Daisy. I was trying to access it anyway. You see when when the button came up that says, "Do you want to watch Bangkok Chick Boys or Driving Miss Daisy?" You must have pressed the button that says, "I want to watch Bangkok Chick Boys." Oh, and here we have an old video: Caves Under Nottingham, Murky Depths. Good name, Murky Depths. Considering the theme of this Caves Under Nottingham video, says, "Quote: Stop the New World Order 8 years ago. I'm impressed. Thanks, Murky Depths." Right, 1 of 2, Gary Robinson. What's the issue with the Capel Green movie? Is it a case of them looking for distribution or for a streaming platform to take on board? If so, that can certainly take some time, and as you can imagine, it's not always possible to secure. Or is the problem they don't have the finances to finish the film? Cheers. I don't want to say too much, Gary. I mean, I am a member of their private group, but basically, it's simply a kind of development hell, only a miniature type, and it's got a lot to do with the expansion of the project from its humble beginnings when it was just about Larry Warren. And as you say, there's all kinds of reasons why a film could be delayed. For goodness me, how long have we been waiting for the Avatar sequel? It's only just come out. I don't really have the urge to watch it, by the way. For those of you expecting a roving review, I'm afraid you're not going to get one. These things can take time. They can take a long time. You who works on the inside of the industry know that. So thanks for the comment. The issue is I can't really say too much, Gary, but it is an active project, but it's working through these obstacles. That's all I can really say. I don't want to breach any privacy. One of two, Gary Robinson. Ben, mate. Speaking of the Daily Fail, I noticed they posted an article the other day referring to ayahuasca as a, quote, dangerous hallucinogenic tea, unquote, which was blamed on the death of an English lady who had supposedly drunk it and lost her mind. I'm convinced this is part of a smear campaign to make sheeple think that it's dangerous. From what I understand from my wife, the ayahuasca experience is inspiring, peaceful, and spiritual, and never does it present the experiencer with thoughts or visions that would make them want to top themselves. The missus has been around 7 shamanic ceremonies so far, each involving around 30 people from different walks of life. Not a single one of these people has ever had a bad experience of any kind whatsoever, but all of them have been helped both mentally and physically. Here in Mexico this week, a politician began lobbying for the use of psychedelic mushrooms within the Mexican healthcare system in order to combat depression, etc. I really hope they make it happen. Cheers. Brilliant comment, Gary. I didn't see this article. Probably Peter Hitchens had something to do with it. As much as I respect Peter Hitchens, he's right about so much. He's 100% wrong about the drugs issue. Totally true. Firstly, they say it's a tea. It's not a tea. Tea is made from a completely different substance. That is tea leaves. I think it's rather a case of them focusing on when there are accidents with these substances where people misuse them, they get the wrong set or setting. The media tends to focus on that. Now, Bill Hicks did this very well, didn't he? Why is it you never hear a positive LSD story? Why? Why is you never hear a positive LSD story? So a young man on acid thought he was a bird, climbed up to a building and jumped off, fell to his death. What a tragedy. Bill says, why is it always, they always focus on when these bad things happen? And bad things can happen when you're using these substances. Why have they never, a young man on LSD found out that life is merely an illusion. We're all the imagination of ourselves. We're all the universe experiencing itself subjectively. Life is just a dream. There's no such thing as death. And love is the final answer. And here's Tom with the weather. I love that bit. Of course, you see there are risks with these substances. I mean, people like this young English lady who drank it and lost her mind. One English lady drank it and lost her mind. Well, 1 million English ladies and gentlemen are drinking alcohol and losing their mind, their liver, their stomach, their intestines, their brain. Millions. So every substance like this has a physical impact, and it has a mental and physical impact. All you need to do is what your wife is doing, going to shamanic ceremonies and treating the drug with respect and dealing with it respectfully is the solution. And as you said here, in some countries it's within the law. I mean, this guy wants to use it for the healthcare system. It's already permitted under rights of freedom of expression to worship, freedom to worship, because it's such an important part of Amerindian spiritual practice. It has that it cannot be outlawed. Same in Brazil. Ayahuasca is protected under freedom to worship. Gary says here on one of two, Ben, I'm going to put my Lucas Spielberg skeptic hat on for a minute and apologize in advance. As far as I know, Spielberg doesn't have a particular interest in ufology. He simply looks for good stories. He doesn't now. Did he in the past? Because anyway, I mean, Close Encounters, anyway, Close Encounters appears to be that kind of film. Gary continues, my point being that there is no agenda behind him making Close Encounters and War of the Worlds. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if certain movies like Close Encounters and E.T. were presented to him as part of an agenda. Interestingly enough, E.T. was written by Melissa Matheson, who was Harrison Ford's second wife, which is potentially interesting connection if you consider Mark Devlin's work. And also the story of Spielberg being in a room with President Ronald Reagan actually refers to a screening of E.T., not Close Encounters. This has never been proven, of course. However, legend has it that at the end of the special screening of E.T., Ronald Reagan supposedly said something along the lines of, imagine if the public knew how close to the truth the story actually is. Cheers. Right, well, I didn't know a lot of that. Now, the thing is, it's Spielberg's own words. It was on. He said it in 1995 when the special edition Close Encounters came out. It was the 1997. It was the 20-year anniversary edition, and the actual DVD or VHS, whatever it was, has a mini feature of Steve Spielberg talking, where he talks about his passion for ufology in the 70s, which wore off as he got older. In fact, he says in 1997, as a sort of middle-aged man, he says, "I couldn't make that film today. I don't have the interest. I don't have the interest in the subject that I used to." So that's where it comes from. War of the Worlds, of course, by the same director, also a story about aliens, a totally different story to Close Encounters, diametrically opposed in many, many ways, even though they're both about aliens landing on Earth. I wonder if Melissa Matheson was any relation to Robert well, the guy who wrote What Dreams May Come, Matheson. I don't know. It's interesting, and I'm sure Mark Devlin would be interested in that. Mark Devlin has actually got into movies now. He's done a talk at Glastonbury Symposium about James Bond movies. Yeah, but I didn't know that about Reagan and E.T. I thought it was Close Encounters. But thank you very much. Thanks for that, Gary. Charles Scott, go away. Sorry, just bugger off, Charles. Go and kiss a woman on the lips, then come back and talk about something else. I'm not going to ban you. I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to delete your comments. But please, 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 talk about something else. Go back to talking about Roswell like you used to. That was really interesting. Lisa says on 2 of 2. Lady in the Water. Wow. Big wow, Ben. Thanks for highlighting. Have you seen it, Lisa? Because I think you'd like it. As I said, it's the film. Every great director has this film that everyone forgets. This is Shyamalan's film that everyone forgets. Very, very, very bad reviews. Not popular with the fans. I think it's underrated. Gary Robinson. Certain types of ayahuasca are able to give the experience a view of the afterlife, so to speak. That is, so long as ayahuasca chooses to do so based on whether it feels it's necessary for the experiencer. Yeah, it is like an entity. There's a spirit of ayahuasca. Often appears as a blue woman. Sorry to keep rattling on about my wife's experiences. Not at all. I'm very interested in them. But she and other people at the shamanic ceremonies she attends have had such experiences. I've not mentioned them on here in the past, however, as they are quite personal. What I would say to the people of the Truth Seekers Northeast is that if they wish to see beyond the veil for themselves, they should seek an ayahuasca retreat, but make sure it's properly run by an experienced shaman. Yes. Otherwise, they risk attention from unwanted entities. This is what I think the Daily Fail was focusing on, without explaining it. They just said, "Oh, you take it, it makes you go crazy." That's their line. It's also worth researching the type of ayahuasca that's on offer, as different types yield different experiences. Thanks, Gary. Good comment. I've been invited, well, not invited, I've been sent adverts for an ayahuasca retreat in Ireland, which maybe I could go to. I mean, it's something to think about. Right. Truth Seekers Northeast 4. Oh, this is Truth Seekers, Ben Emlyn-Jones, live at Truth Seekers Northeast 4. This is from a while ago. Joe Bowie says, any relation to David? Really enjoyed it as always, Ben's. Keep up your travels, mate. Thanks, Joe. I mean, check out my latest one, which I've just done. Please do check that out. Right. Reply to comment. Oh, no, this is Ben Emlyn-Jones live at Truth Seekers Northeast 8, part 1 of 2. Crafty Nihilist says, Christmas jumpers aren't just for Christmas. Whoops. End of the hour. Crafty. Oops. Okay. Crafty. Not when they are as warm and comfortable as the one I wear. That's right. Okay, guys, that's another recording finished, another hour finished. Be back for hour number 3 very soon, which will probably be the last hour. So back shortly. Okay, guys, hour number 3. This will probably be the last hour, actually. Let's have a multitude of comments on BitChute and Tech. Let's we're nearly through the YouTube ones now. It's an old one. This is White People, a reply to Christy Winters. God, this is one I did ages ago. For some reason, it hasn't been banned. Oliver Westlake says, and don't want to be that guy, but yes, Karen is some kind of meme. Yeah, it's a bit of a... It's used less now than it used to. Christy, unfortunately, tends to overuse it, and Christy can be really insulting, actually. Which is one of the reasons I wanted to make this reply video to her. But thanks, Oliver. That's an old video. Good to have it resurrected by you there. Blue Beans says on reply to comment 69. Simple comment. I always like your intro music of certain videos you have. I listen often to similar music. It always reminded me about my multi-dimensional experiences. It takes me back and gives me emotionalized vibes from it. Not to forget what went on. What would life be without, I think you mean life, what would life be without having that level of escape? How hard would it be not to imagine? All the normal nasty world of social divisional politics these days compared to that money couldn't pay. Yeah. I couldn't live without this kind of outlet, and for me it is making these videos. I mean, I feel like I'm doing, I feel like I am resisting. It's a form of resistance. You see, it's like that's really that's why I do it. And to me it is something multidimensional. It does mean something kind of it's something transcendental for me. It really is. Oh, it's another old one. Roswell 70, Colin Wolford. This was back in 2017, July 2017. This is a conference I helped organise. I was the principal organiser with the help of other people. Okay, I've got a timestamp. This is the lights were low, and the timestamp is 42:30. Here we go. 42:31. Seems to be having a bit of trouble starting.
Have snapped off when the disc is flipped over. The debris was taken to tent stations for logging and then loaded onto trucks. After 3 days, a full team from Washington came down and the decision.
Okay, what's this all about? Okay, here we go. So, hey Ben, I'm just listening to the cameraman's written description of his experience. Yeah, this is the cameraman who was interviewed by Santilli and Shoefield. Yeah, this is to do with the alien autopsy. Background, and then what happened when he arrived at the crash site and saw what he was there to film. I'm very interested in words people use, how they are used, and indeed why. Having listened to this twice, I would find it hard to believe that this is a North American serviceman born in the US putting pen to paper. The vocabulary, the structure of the sentences and phrasing are, in my opinion, British. Even words such as vehicle and the term cordoned off seem out of place from the description of an American. I know Gary Robinson has worked a lot in the USA, and with North Americans, maybe his opinion would be worthwhile. Just saying. That's fair enough, lights. I mean, these things are often vital clues that a hoaxer wouldn't necessarily think of, but then they can be used to expose the hoax. I've noticed that myself with several people. Yeah, I've actually uncovered a couple of trolls. In the same way, they say, "Oh, I live in this particular country," but they use a different kind. They use different spelling. For example, they say they live in the USA and they use British or international spelling, things like that. Thanks for the input. That's interesting to think about. Diego Rivera, StreamYard test. Hello. What do we have here? Hey, exactly. I didn't want to start the live stream about Brexit without doing some kind of trial. I decided to leave it there just because it was quite an entertaining little stream. I was going to delete it, but I thought I'll leave it. And indeed, some other people might find it useful if you're using StreamYard. Evening, Ben, mate, says Gary Robinson. Evening, Gary. How you doing? Bonto Max says, is it okay to reheat an egg bap? It's okay. It won't hurt you, but apparently eggs can hurt you now, apparently. This is why there's so many people who've expired without warning, apparently. But Yeah, I just taste it. If it tastes odd, just don't eat it. Well, we have here is a thread here. Raven, this is on Brexit Day 2023 live stream. Ravenhill villain of the pentagram 1968. Good evening, Ben. Was Brexit a failure? Have we lost control of the borders? What do you think the answer is? I find it very depressing, and to be honest, as we voted Brexit here to gain back control of the borders, and that's not happened. No, as I bring up in the subject, it's a half-baked cake that has been wound back. But as I said, the purpose of Brexit, the whole reason what Brexit means to me now is symbolic, as I said. I mean, it's a symbolic victory. It is an icon of 2016, and this is the same with Trump. Whatever happens now, they can't take that away from us. It's an answer, I think, also, which I should have made this point in the live stream. It's an answer to all those who say, for example, oops, what's happened now? Oops. Can you hear me okay? Hope you can. Just check settings. Oh, hang on. Is that all right? Yeah, it should be okay. I don't have much to re-record if it goes funny again. He's recording, yeah. You know, I hear a lot of times people saying, including people who are very much on my side and don't like what's going on in the world. They say things like, well, you may not like the world as it is, but it's the only world that's possible. And they'll say things like, well, it's a horrible world, but that's the way it is, and we just have to put up with it because it's the only world we can have. We can't have a different one because all kinds of things will get in the way. Sometimes they'll say, well, everything from, the Illuminati have won, their victory is complete, to, well, that's just human nature, mate. It's just human nature. You can't change human nature. They come up with all kinds of reasons. And the basic premise is there's no point doing anything because there's nothing we can do. Things are the way they are because they just have to be that way. There's no better world possible because this is the best we can possibly have. I'm always tempted to ask these people, well, why are you bloody involved then? This bloke used to go to Probe. There's this old guy who used to go to Probe who was such a wet blanket. Oh, there's no hope. There's nothing we can do. And I actually did say to him, why did you come to this conference then? Can't remember what he said in return. What Brexit and Trump and the whole 2016 phenomenon proves is that there is another way. A better world is possible. It can be done. It has been done. If it happened once, it can happen again. Cute Kanji says in reply to Ravenhill, only because there's no will to take control of our borders. I think we know there's a multicultural agenda within the highest levels in the country, so certain people don't want to control the borders, just like certain powerful groups in the United States want the Mexican border to be open. You're partly right, Q, but there's one important difference I would make with what you said, one important addition. You say there's no will to take control of the borders. The fact is there is the government do have control of the borders, but they are deliberately doing this. They've opened them deliberately. And you say here certain people don't want to control the borders. They do. You've got to realize that the massive numbers of people coming into the country at the moment on rubber dinghies, they're not coming here because the government have just opened the borders and said, come on in. The government are making them come here. They're literally organizing the whole thing. There's no other way you could get like thousands of people to travel hundreds of miles and get on a boat and cross 20 miles of sea, which is reckless on a little boat. A lot of people have died on the journey unless you were paying them a lot of money. David Smith said, if only someone had warned people. Yeah, well, we did, didn't we? Yeah. Right, so another old video. Am I a MGTOW? Jack Byrne says on Am I a MGTOW? Funny enough, I've had 2 comments on it in the last 2 cycles, comments reply cycles, which is interesting. A video I made it. I'm quite proud of this video. I made it a long time ago. I can't stop chuckling at you enthusiastically discussing bridge construction and rivets every time someone walks by. Good subject, though. I'm learning about something I'd never heard of. Well, not in an organized sense with their own forums, etc. MGTOW, yeah, MGTOW, men going their own way, yeah. Yeah, Jack, I was quite amused by that, actually. I had several people contacting me saying, oh, it's so funny. I know when you start talking about bridge design, it means someone's walking past. That's true. That's true. I thought, well, it's a lovely spot to stop and make the video. It's just a perfect place. I thought, of course, it is on a public footpath. It's on the Thames path. So people are walking past every so often. Keith Smith says on Brexit Day live stream 2023. Your audio is nearly as bad as your content. It was nearly as bad as your content. Right, well, Keith, no one's forcing you to watch this video. You've put like a dozen comments on my channel, which means you're watching me. It's like Marley Pumpkin. You know, if it's so awful, why don't you go and watch someone else's channel? And GTSR says your comment is nearly as bad as your avatar. What is his avatar anyway? He looks a bit like me. What is it? Oh, it's just a picture of a bald guy, not me. Channel has no content. Yeah. Yeah, I get like, it's weird. I get comments from people who literally have, you know, they have completely blank channels, and some of them don't even have avatars. They have no banner, no avatar, no uploads, no subs, no favorites, nothing. It's just a blank channel. They've just like they've joined YouTube just to have a go at me. But that's a good reply, GSR. David Smith says, if you play it at 2 times speed, it's only half as bad. Very good. And then Keith Smith laughs. Right, Hugo Rune, Brexit Day 2023 live stream. How did I miss this? I'm confused, but thanks, Ben. Well, Hugo, weren't you in the live chat? I saw you there. Dark Corner says too many spliffs. Hugo says, I didn't miss this. I was on this. My mental problems are worrying me. I don't remember this. My toking is not a problem. It's my medication. I get prescribed Sativex and pure THC CBD. Sorry, Ben, my mental problems are not due to cannabis. I had a stroke. Enjoying your post? Yeah. Thanks. Hugo, sorry, I'm sorry to laugh at it. I didn't realise. You didn't miss it, and you forgot you didn't miss it. I had a stroke. Have you been to the... Well, I assume you've been to the doctors. Have you? You're posting comments, so I assume you're not that bad. Are you sure it was a stroke? Please call the doctors, Hugo, please. Dark Corner says, sorry, Hugo, my comment was... I'm not going to read that out. No, I'm not going to read that out, Dark Corners. And Hugo and Dark Corners have a discussion here, which I'm not going to read out because it's kind of... Even though it's on the public comments section, it's kind of personal. But Dark Corners, Hugo, thank you for that thread. Dark Corners UK says on Truth Seekers Northeast 8 off duty. Another fascinating video. Thanks, Ben. You're welcome, Dark Corners. You're welcome. Brexit Day 2023 live stream. Dark Corners UK says, happy Brexit Day, Ben. I'm proud to say that I voted to leave Europe. The elation I felt 3 years ago when I realised we had seemingly won was palpable. Oh, God. Happy shock, I called it. Yes. I had such faith in the democratic system and the government at large back then. Shame that during these prior 3 years, the government has stumbled at every available opportunity. And despite our best efforts, the country seems in a worse state than ever before. I know. That sums up my whole thing about Brexit, I think, Dark Corners, and most people. I've learned a lot during these last few years, in these last 3 years. I've learned about, well, even before then, since the referendum in 2016, I've learned about how the government works, how they subvert things, how they persuade people to collaborate with them. It's been quite depressing, yeah. But that sums up my feelings exactly. Hugo Rune says to Welsh Ripper, PM me, come visit. All right. Welsh, you sure you know what you're letting yourself in for? Jam Noise is going there. I'm supposed to be going there at some point. Yes, we're going to be like it'll be like a Rastafarian temple once we arrive. What dreams may come? A watch read party introduction. Oliver Westlake says, oh, by here book, I want you to read, Ben. Oh, by here book, I want you to read, Ben. So that's bad spelling and grammar, but Honey for the Bears, The Waiting Seed, and 1985 by Anthony Burgess. All right, you want me to... Oh, I see. You want me to read that book. Now, Anthony Burgess is an interesting author. He wrote the book on which Clockwork Orange was based, which was partly... It was inspired partly by the assault on his wife in 1944, I believe, by American soldiers, which is very upsetting. It obviously had an effect on him. She wasn't raped like in the film, but she was beaten badly by American soldiers, and she was pregnant and had a miscarriage. Right you are, mate. Right you are. I'll see what I can do. I'll put that in as a request for watch read. And finally, Brexit Day 2023, Tommy Time Television. Ben, there is a difference between you and 99% of conspiracy theorists. You put wonder and positivity in my thoughts, whereas the others fill me full of fear and anxiety. Tommy, thank you very much. It's a lovely comment to top the YouTube list with. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, we're going to go straight over to a BitChute. Where's BitChute? Let's find BitChute. Yeah. Le shoot. What has it got to say now? So as always, I'm going to go through the notifications, which are very, very good to do. There'll be there'll be fewer of these than normal, because I need to go right. Because it's been less time since the last comment reply live stream. Brexit Day live stream. Woden 20, of course. Good old Woden 20. Always good for a good comment. I just need some more dragon juice. One sec. But so yeah, Woden 20 is a regular BitChute friend of mine. I have made like a circle of friends on these alt techs as well. I mean, people on Rumble, or more people on Odyssey. I've got a circle of people on Odyssey, about 3 or 4 regular commenters, which is really nice on Odyssey, including Diego Rivera, who was also on YouTube, of course. Right. Okay. Woden 20. The Brexit vote was 2016, and it still hasn't happened. If voting actually worked, it'll be banned. Well, unfortunately, yes, has happened officially, but of course, as you know, it's de facto. You know, they're just trying. They just really never let us escape. It's a half-baked cake, as I said, and that's a great shame. See, voting doesn't work. It's not banned. It's just everything is, you know what, fiddled. Okay, but thanks for that, Woden 20. Much appreciated, mate. And scroll down a bit more. There we go. These Ray has improved the platform no end, despite the attack that he's suffered lately on BitChute, which is appalling. Unfortunately, not unpredictable. You know what these bastards are like. But they're trying. They all of them are. I mean, there's the FS, Financial Services Agency in the United States, that's been trying to shut down Odyssey. Right, new comments reply. Sweeps Foxy, Sweeps Fox. Oh, this is on his video, which I've watched. Yeah. There's a reason why so many chairs were shown empty at the main hall in Davos. It's simply because all the tyrants and their comrades were meeting in many separate little rooms, fomenting their devious anti-humanity agenda. They were evading the main room, which was just a decoy for TV media, cameras to help convey the lie. Their bar meetings were less attended. Yeah, Sweeps, that's always what they do, isn't it? It's like Alex Jones when he went to Bohemian Grove. He said, well, this is what's always left out of critics leave out. His main concern was the black curtains that were set up, if you remember. Yeah. That was actually on Sweeps' video, but I thought I'd read it out. Scrolling down. Sorry. Oh, new comment. Here we go. Oh, this is on Rin Michaelis catching up. There we go. A little off topic. But with Propaganda Due, it's because I don't remember 100%. Now, Propaganda Due was they were basically behind a lot of things that happened in the Vatican. But this is Melvin Sherman. Sorry, Melvin Sherman said, when I say Freemason, I don't know how... Oh, I remember you now, Melvin. You left me a lot of comments about the Illuminati, yeah. I don't know how them evil, and don't mean Propaganda Due. It's because it start like Freemason group, and then it turn into, I might use the word, Ben, but I say a terrorist group that contact with the mafia and the CIA too. I see. So you're saying that the Freemason group that doesn't start off bad, it turns into a terrorist group through the mafia, CIA. Yeah, I agree. A lot of these things are perverted. Freemasonry actually evolved out of the mystery schools of the cathedrals. I mean, this was not technically ever meant to be a part of the Illuminati. And P2, the lodge in the Rome, is a part of that. Yeah. Thanks, Melvin. Thank you very much for that. As I said earlier, I'm doing another video of Rin McInnes, and we're recording one on Sunday. So this is why I'm doing this comments reply video now, because I've really, maybe I've bitten off a bit more than I can chew, but I've got a lot of things to do. I mean, some of it's social, like I'm meeting a viewer, a HPANWO TV viewer in London on Wednesday, which is nice. And then Anthony Peake, his book launch. I've actually got the book already. It's already on sale, but he's having a formal launch for it. So I'll get him to sign it. Right. Melvin Sherman, why I still support Boris. All right. Okay. Okay, this is a new one that she's done here. Okay. Or other thing, to me, Boris Johnson is like a sitcom dad. He is a bit, yeah. He's not an evil dictator guy. He is this dumb dad you see in children's books or sitcoms. I suppose he is, actually. I think it's not malevolence that's his problem. It's his lack of maturity. It's his lack of self-discipline. You know, people say, Boris, bring back Boris. Well, if they could bring back the old Boris, yeah. Melvin says here, I mean, every time I've seen Boris Johnson, was like he was stuck on a wire or umbrella. All right, there's this scene where he's like stuck, he's like abseiling or something, and he's, yeah. But I feel he's not evil dictator compared to Trump. He's not a monster or person. Well, Trump is a good guy. He's just more on dad you see in sitcom and cartoon like Homer Simpson or Al Bundy or Archie Bunker or Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Yeah. Like I could see Boris be a star or sitcom. He's just a dumb dad. Oh, by the way, I'm not saying not Donald Trump is a Nazi, but in compare Trump to Johnson, personally wise, he is less this evil rich guy, a la Biff Tannen. Oh, right, yeah, that's from Back to the Future. Yes, the older Biff Tannen was modeled on Donald Trump. This is a film from the 80s by Robert Zemeckis. Yeah. Yes, I know Bob Gate did say he was based on Donald Trump. Yeah, which I can believe. Yeah, he was. This was long before Trump ran for president. Yeah, I mean, Trump, I think, has more potential than Boris. Trump is more with it than Boris. But this is not to say that Boris cannot learn. People who say bring back Boris, if they could bring the old Boris back, I'd be 100% behind them. And I'd take back everything I said about him and I'd support him again. So thanks, Melvin, for that. All right, and that's it. So as always, I will go to the top. Must remember to do this. Mark all as read. Delete all. Yep. So now I've got a fresh set for next time. Okay, delete all. There we go. That's BitChute done. Now we move on to Odyssey. Now, I've had to make some notes on Odyssey because I have Odyssey. I actually had. Obviously, I'm going to go through the recent videos on my channel on Odyssey, but I have actually had comments on older videos for which I'm going to have to use the HPANWO TV blog. Okay, so Truth Seeker Northeast 8. I've had some comments from my usual people, which have been really nice. My usual circle of viewers. Oops. Ads. 2 comments. Trust Nobody says. I've actually put a text comment reply to him here, but I'll put the notification as well. Hi, Ben. I remember watching Richard D. Hall interviewing the old guy, and it was quite comical in places, plus it all being in Geordie speak for anyone outside the Northeast. Yeah. Robert Hall, it was a very, like I say, very, very simple man, spoke very strong Geordie, like a lot of old people do in that part of the world. In fact, it had subtitles. Richard put on subtitles because Geordie, spoken at full strength, is effectively a foreign language. I wouldn't be able to understand it without it. I'm sure Americans couldn't. I think it's almost certainly a true encounter because it happened in that area, and unless the tale was being told over a few pints of ale, they just had better things to do. Yeah, I think despite the lack of physical evidence, which you wouldn't expect after all those years, I think, you see, it was the witness, Daryl Sims and Richard were both sort of impressed with the quality of his testimony. I don't know about you, Ben, but if I was standing in the spot where there were a reasonable chance of a genuine alien event, I think I'd be feeling ghost shivers down my spine. Yeah, I did as well. Especially, I stood in the wrong place at first, but I did feel the energy of the destiny of the area. Yeah. especially if the area has hardly changed, e.g. old brickwork and curbstones. I think I'd be worrying that just my luck, the aliens, I think I'd be worrying that it'd be just my luck for aliens to return and take me away, or perhaps clobber me to death with a coal shovel as an act of revenge. Oh dear, well, I hope the aliens don't take it too personally, because, well, Uncle Ernie's now gone, so, yeah. Okay, Truth Seekers Northeast, 1 of 1. Comments. All right, I've got no comments on that. Truth Seekers Northeast, 2 of 2. Oh, got a few comments here. Got a few comments here. Trust Nobody says, I realise how little the information I retained in my religious studies classes, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, mind you. I flopped abysmally in my CSE mock exam and a few through the O-level mock exam, typical of my future arse about fascism. Who wants to be normal? There isn't anyone else who gives a lecture quite like Ben Emlyn-Jones. Oh, well, thank you very much, Trust Nobody. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think Albert Einstein said his education was the only thing that interfered with his learning. Yes, I take it as a compliment that you couldn't do it. You know, you failed. You too open-minded. It was all like David Icke said. Well, they take it over to, they say, hold it in your left brain, darling. Someone's trying to call me on bloody Skype. Oh, it's just my group. I'll have to go to them in a minute. Hold it there, darling, then toss it over to the right brain and then regurgitate it onto a piece of paper. But what you sensibly do is throw it over to the right brain, and the right brain goes, it's a piece of shit. Shelley of the Red says, I think Marxists are pretty much religious people as well, in the negative sense of the term, It's hard to see that this is what drives them when it's so entirely warped in political terms and agendas. Thanks, Shelley. It's good to hear from you again. And yeah, I mean, it's, as I said, it may not be religious in form, but I mean, a lot of the religious type behavior is reproduced in these secular philosophies. And it almost seems like a kind of equivalent. So it's in the same in form. It's not the same in form, but it's certainly the same in equivalence. Yeah. Thanks for the comment. And Shelley of the Red says here, Babylon is a vampire. USA, NATO, EU. Well, it sucks blood from people, doesn't it, Shelley? It sucks blood. And here we have Trust Nobody saying here, Ben, après ski of absolutely nothing, as Harold Steptoe might have said. The hospital portering made me think of times when both my parents have been in hospital, and in the rabbit warrens of my town's aged hospital, I usually ended up asking porters, where's Ward 22B or wherever, and the patient it showed is more than I could conjure up, because apart from abuse, I've been waiting here half an hour, where's that fucking doctor? Being asked for directions a million times a day would very quickly get on my thruppity bits. I can honestly say that my last overnight stay... Why doesn't this post? Hang on. Oh, there we go. My last overnight stay in hospital was made far, far more bearable by the lowly auxiliary, quote-unquote, who kept me supplied with jugs of iced water as my throat was red raw. You guys get no glory, but it's not like you look for it. Anonymous, but total heroes of the NHS hospital trenches. Trust, that's really made me feel emotional. Thank you very much. I'm glad you appreciate the hospital portering service, what we give and what we take and everything like that, and what we do. Thank you very much. I'm glad we made your stay much better, and your parents too. So thank you very much for that. Okay, finally, I didn't upload the I didn't upload the StreamYard test to Odyssey, so I'm just going to go now. Brexit live stream. And I have no comments. Great. Okay, so now I have a few old comments on what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the HPANWO TV blog, because I have some old comments. I made a note of them here on Odyssey. I've got an old one on yes, it's on the expired without warning. Can't say the full title of this video on here we are, Odyssey on YouTube, but it's the video. You know, I did like a jokey promo on and the comment is, I've got 5 comments on here. All right. I've had a few ones I've already tried. There's a new one here this is by this was 2 months ago. Yes, this is 4 days ago, so it's quite recent. And this is by I put a text comment on it. It's by Krasinski. I think this is a Polish person. Says, I'm planning to make a quote unquote fact-checked edit of Expired Without Warning, by the very least removing the Bill Gates TED Talk, the most commonly debunked part. I'm not sure what else needs to be removed and whether it matters at all. I've also had the idea to make a censored version that could be posted on YouTube, perhaps with all mentions of the V, quote, bleeped out with the graphic scenes blurred out. Well, good luck with a censored version. It would have to be very censored, Krasinski, probably to the point of uselessness. You're better off I recommend simply doing what I did, which is a slightly tongue-in-cheek promo video. As for the fact-check thing with Bill Gates, that was low-hanging fruit, which of course the critics of this video jumped on. However, in no way does this discredit any of the other things that were said about Bill Gates or anything else in that documentary. Thanks very much for that anyway. So now I think that's all on, that's everything on Odyssey. Yes, it is. Okay, we're going to go now to Rumble. Rumble. And I'll go to the latest. I'm going to just go to latest content. Right. Well, I don't know. Right. Okay. I'm gonna have to. Okay, because as you know, I've been backing things up on Rumble. I've been backing my catalog up on Rumble. I'm going to have to go to once again go to the HPANWO TV blog. Which I won't have to do that next time, but I have to do that this time because Rumble, because of that's where I can only get the links. Okay, so I'll go straight back to reply to comments. Oh, I didn't do that on Odyssey, did I? I didn't do reply to comments on Odyssey. All right, sorry, I should do reply to comments. Sorry, I forget to do the actual video. All right, I forget to do the actual reply to comments video on Alt-Tech, because that, of course, counts as a video that was uploaded, doesn't it? Okay, well, I've got no comments on Odyssey on that anyway. Okay, so now I should go to Rumble and reply to comment 69. No comments. Okay, Truth Seekers Northeast 8 off duty. One comment. Jesus is Sai Baba. Right. Reply. Sai Baba's like this Indian guru type person. They killed Kobe Bryant, Elon Musk next. All right, it's an advert for, I was one of these murdered by the cabal videos. EU Commissioner Elon Musk has to behave or else. Will the fascist transnational cabal accident Elon Musk and the little X like they did against Kobe Bryant? All right. It would be nice if I don't set a rule here. Jesus is Sai Baba, but it'd be nice if you post a comment that is related to the topic of the video. But that's not essential. Thank you for these links, and you bring up something off topic. That's okay. Elon Musk has probably already had some heavy-handed treatment, I would say. He's already had someone maybe digging some stuff up in his past that he doesn't want his wife to know about, things like that. They did that to Boris, didn't they? As I said on the live stream. I just hope he can find some way to beat the fascist transnational cabal. That is, find some way around that obstacle, which I wish him luck. I do, because I think he's a good guy. Okay, part 1. Oh, this is in 2 parts, of course. Part 1 of 2, Rumble. 2, no comments. I thought I said 2 comments there for a minute. My eyesight is going. Part 2 of 2. No comments. Stream. Oh, I didn't put StreamYard test. Okay, that's just now. It is now simply the Brexit Day live stream. No comments. Okay, so that's Rumble done. Okay, I'm just going to do like a. We're nearly finished now. Just going to do a refresh of YouTube and see if any comments have arrived while I've been shooting this particular video. Okay, so there's nothing on the channel list, but that doesn't mean anything necessarily. it could be that there is comments have appeared in my notifications. So I'm going to go now to my general YouTube notification list. And there's been Slacks uploaded something an hour ago. Good. Maya Tusi, anti-Brexit BB sent it, right? Oh, there's one by Maya Tusi, which I'll be watching. And podcast of the Lotus Eaters, 15-minute prisons. Okay, so there's no new comments that have been uploaded while I've been shooting this film, which means that's the end, guys. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's left a comment. They've all been very, very good food for thought and good grist for my HPANWO TV mill. Even some of the rude ones have been very amusing, so much appreciated. As I said before, I've already told you I'm making new videos coming up, doing one with Rin McKaylis, which I'll probably be able to mirror on my channel. I'll be going to London, so we'll be making videos there. And so I've got a busy week coming up. Check out, don't forget, tune in to the Gas Spanner on Sunday, Third Rail Radio Monday. Thank you all for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.